I'm getting my wife off them
It's-
vapes now.
yeah, they do
Begging
something.
her,
Take
begging her. But all right, man, listen. We are hours away, handful of hours away from the NFL draft 2025.
yes, sir.
Everybody here in Detroit is stoked. I've been at work all day. Not saying you ain't been busy all day. We work different shifts and whatnot. I've been busy all day. Haven't been able to really stay in tune with most of the news for that matter. Um, Pretty sure you have. Any breaking news draft wise you've been hearing about?
Uh, it's funny. It's like I'm seeing Brad Holmes actually had a presser or something last night. No, 3 minutes ago. So I got to see what this dude talking about. But I haven't heard nothing until this thing popped up. So I'm excited to get this over with, man. We 3 hours away. They come away with somebody that's cool. I'm liking it. But I will say, don't come away with no Shamar Stewart, and don't say he's good at the run game. Don't tell these lies, because I know who good and I know who bad. Because we got tape, we got analytics, we got film, I know who bad. So don't play with me. So
Brother,
leading
what's up? What's up?
fellas, what's going on? Super random. Whoa, super random and stupid. Okay, what's up,
Super
man?
random, stupid.
But yeah, man. Look, if y'all come away with Jack Sawyer, I'm cool with that. Not in the first, but I'm cool with that. Like y'all come away with Josiah, James Pierce, Donovan Zaraku, even Tyler Barron, who's very little known, but he's still productive. Elijah Roberts, Savion Jones, Nick Scorton. Y'all come away with who y'all come away with. That's good. Y'all trade down. That's great. We start talking about guards and stuff, and potential centers of the future. That's cool too. I'm cool with most things. Third round, I'm gonna be watching you though. I'm gonna be watching for that reach, that magical reach. Cause when you picked Levi in the second, that was a reach to me. Still a need, but a reach. When you picked uh Josh Pascal, there was no way he was the best edge at all. In the second at 46. No way. Reach. So if you start reaching, I'm gonna give you a branch. I'm gonna get a branch, not the person. I'm gonna get a whole tree branch. If you want to start reaching and stuff, you can play in the jungle gym. All right, I'm for players, production players, not goofy stuff. So
No, I get it. I get it. Ab had a post about this on Facebook earlier today. Matter of fact, I just don't want to repeat of 2024. Um, like
culture
I said,
draft.
I respect Brad Holmes with the utmost, considering what he was able to come here and do, and how he was able to help turn things around and help spearhead this turnaround. I think he's a damn good GM, and I think
Mhm.
he's better than what he drafted last year. He's shown that he. No, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to diss nobody. I'm saying that every GM has bad drafts or questionable drafts. It's still up to debate whether 2024 is going to turn out to be a damn good draft, an average draft, or one of the more forgettable drafts in NFL, in Detroit Lions history. But he's better than what he did last year. He's proven to be better his first 3 years than what we had last year.
Yeah.
At least initially, what we saw in year one. I don't want to repeat of that.
Mhm.
I feel like in this class, you and I both agree this is a pretty deep draft class. Not saying that everybody has to agree. I've heard some people who want to be the lone wolves or the outliers that just have to always go left when everybody else is going right. Oh,
Yes.
this draft is terrible.
It's
Oh, this
terrible
draft is
draft.
below
Yeah.
average. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Considering the amount of picks we have right now, bless you,
Thank you.
we should be able to leave this draft with at least three pillar players, at least three starters. Even if you stay at 28 and 60 and all that, this draft is deep enough, offensive line wise, whether it's tackle or guard, wide receiver wise, cornerback wise. We can also discuss the quarterback position because I think with the move, even though it wasn't a major move, it was really a low key major move because Kyle Allen is a podcast host with Carson Palmer's brother,
Hmm.
Jordan Palmer.
Hmm.
He's not here to take any snaps. we still have zero idea on how this team, this organization really feels about Hendon Hooker. He was never really given the opportunity here to show anything. It's pretty much almost best for him to leave, because he's a young guy. He's got his whole career ahead of him. I don't like seeing any players, especially our players, being, just sat around and having their growth stunted.
Yeah.
So, they let Jake Fromm go. I found it really weird today that a lot of people, um, just to call it what it is, you saw these sad emojis under the post on social media about him being gone, being let go, and this and that. I'm thinking like, wow, really? Like y'all sad that he's not here. I saw that
Sad.
he wasn't given a fair shot. He looked damn good in preseason, despite the fact he only threw 7 passes. It was sickening. So I had to pretty much scroll past those Jake Fromm posts, but either way, Fromm held no type of spot here. He had no chair here. He had no futon. He had no small bedroom. He had no man cave. He was never part of our future to begin with anyway. Mention what I mentioned about Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen isn't here to play. And then you're looking at the fact that, we've heard so many Hendon Hooker trade rumors the past couple off seasons. I'm not sure if they would go out there and trade him. And I think if they wanted to trade him, it would be tonight, or it would be tomorrow night, or it would be Saturday afternoon. But quarterback is a need. Not saying necessarily starter, but I think it would be kind of irresponsible as an organization if you didn't. You look at the fact that Andy Reid has always drafted quarterbacks. He drafted quarterbacks when he had McNabb. He always brought in quarterbacks in free agency. He always believed in keeping his quarterback room. And he stated this himself. He believes in keeping his quarterback room, Belichick also, as the smartest, strongest, or at least one of the smartest, strongest rooms on the entire team. Having just Jared Goff and nothing else is kind of irresponsible. So I do think they need to get a quarterback. It won't be tonight, of course, but they do need to get a quarterback at some point in time in this draft. That's why I'm a major advocate of them trading out of 28, moving back, picking up an extra pick or two. Even if they decided to trade back twice, not just with 28, maybe with another one of their picks. Just because I do want to make sure we have a free pick to go get a quarterback. So what do you think about the current quarterback situation? And if quarterback is a responsibility for this team within the next 2-3 days?
Well, I think quarterback, honestly, if I see them draft one, I would be upset. If I see them draft one, I'd be upset. I'm just gonna make it happen like that. I'm gonna be real upset. And what I'm gonna preface, oh snap, my daughter's screaming.
I want to ask you: is it because of Hendon Hooker already being here, or because at the end of the day, you do still need a quarterback room, and we currently don't have that.
Yeah, I just think you got to look. I'm not sure about Kelvin Shepherd's coaching, so I'm gonna need to surround him with the best players, and that's a Bill Belichick quote. Like, I'm not sure about your coaching. I'm gonna surround you with the best players possible, and I think the best players need to be on the defensive end. I need defensive players all through. If you find a quarterback in the 7th or something, that's cool. You can get Shaw, whatever. But again, what are you drafting to do? You're drafting to replace, drafting to potentially give the mantle to, drafting to develop and trade. What are you doing? Because me personally, like when I'm in the draft, I want to get the most out of my players. So I'm looking for in the 6th, 7th round, 5th round, I'm looking for athletic guys that have some production, or they have uber traits like height, speed. They have the combine numbers, maybe the school results that I like. Like, I'm not basing my draft off integrity or production. And if there's a quarterback who went to Texas A&M or something like that and put up video game like numbers, I'll take him. All right. But I got to have a plan for him. See, what the Lions do, they draft guys. They have no plan. They don't, we're going to draft a 4-3 edge or a 4-3 defender, and we run a 3-4. He'll adapt. Or we're going to draft Sewell because he's the best player. We're going to move him to right tackle. Like, we got to teach him right tackle in the offseason. In 4 months, we're going to teach him right tackle. And I'm just like, no. For me, if you're drafting a quarterback in the late rounds, that tells me you gave up on the Hendon Hooker thing. There's no elite corners. There's no speed demon corners out there. There's no Za Frazier's out there. There's no, it's the last thing on my totem pole. There's no Dolax who had 200 tackles, 5 interceptions, tested the second best in the linebacker class in zone coverage and popping the ball out and takeaways. So you're telling me your defense can't get better at all in this 5th, 6th, 7th round, and you're going to draft a quarterback who's going to come in as a camp arm? I'm confused.
Yeah, I get it, but the whole thing is we talking about one pick, 1 out of 7, or potentially 1 out of 9 picks, or 1 out of 8 picks. Then it comes down to the value. We did our final mock draft last night, and we actually did take Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round, and we took Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round with a pick that we got from the Jacksonville Jaguars in the trade. So it pretty much, we ended up with 2 3rd-round picks, and we wound up taking Jalen Milroe with one of them. We got Tyler Booker in the 2nd round. So, and also Jamari Caldwell. So we got a decent amount of players. There were people that didn't like it, and I think there was people who didn't like that draft simply because they saw Milroe in it. But like we said last night, you do have these Jared Goff super puppy, quiet down. But you do have these Jared Goff heavy supporters who remember how people viewed Stafford all those years.
Yeah,
we don't need a quarterback. Don't draft a quarterback. They almost took offense. They would much rather have Jared Goff in camp and no backup and nobody else. Because if you bring somebody in, they view that as a slight against their guy.
Yeah, no, but
and they for damn sure don't want a mobile quarterback.
That's it's not, for me, it's not like that. It's just low frequency.
No, not you.
Yeah,
not you.
Most of them people that's like that, they're not used to winning. They've never had winning in
well, like I said, they want to win, and we said this year 1 of the rebuild. As a Lions fan, do you want to win or do you want to win your way? Are you willing to cut your nose off to spite your face? You have some people out there that they would rather keep losing before they win with a mobile quarterback.
Like again,
there's still those type of fans out there. I don't think it's necessarily this generation. This generation is moving past that way of thinking. It's more so like our generation older who still have that way of thinking. Same thing with the NBA. I can't watch the NBA because I can't relate. What do you mean you can't relate? It's basketball. Well, I can't relate. And we all know what that means. So I just view it like this. It doesn't even have to necessarily be Jalen Milroe. I've had mock drafts where I took Seth Hennigan from Memphis in like the 6th round or whatever. If you're trying to completely fill out your roster, it works. Now, if you look at New England had Brady all those years, and Belichick drafted the quarterback like every other year. Now, he won a lot. And what do people do around the league when your team wins a lot? Go get a quarterback from his team. Why? Because they win a lot. He was able to pawn Brian Hoyer off on 2 different teams. He was able to pawn Ryan Mallett off on Houston.
And Garoppolo.
Exactly. But you notice all of those quarterbacks played well for his team, though. But when they left New England, when all of those guys, when they had to step in for Tom Brady at some point in time, all played well.
Yeah.
And teams were fooled by it. So Matt Castle got big contract from was it Kansas City? Yeah.
And Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just think, and then with our quarterback too, he's one of the more polarizing players in this city. I just think that you want to make sure you got a couple young arms. That's always been my philosophy, that you want to have at least one young arm, because you never know what direction the quarterback position is going to go. You may not always be drafting the heir apparent. You might end up having the heir apparent that's 3rd string on your roster right now,
right?
Or the backup,
right?
Yeah, that way you don't have to approach the draft out of desperation, like the Giants for that matter.
Yeah, I think the Giants kind of address their quarterback issue. If they bring it in a quarterback, in a draft, what the Giants are going to say, I think that's a bigger conversation. That's really nice. Is that the Giants, if they bring in Shador, let's just say Shador, look at the people he's around, in that room.
Yeah.
You got Jameis Winston, who's probably, he's more of a muse for leadership, but he does exemplify leadership. Russell Wilson, who you could say had a great career or is having this twilight of a career, whatever. He works, he works. He sets a tone and a standard. The work ethic of the staff and the backup quarterbacks will push a Shedeur Sanders. And I think that if you bring in a quarterback, like you bring in a Shaw or somebody, right? Or I think his name Tyler Shaw, whatever. I know that guy was in college for 6 or 7 years. Didn't do nothing until Louisville, 3 transfers. All the bad stuff that people talk about, it is not bad for him, supposedly. So I guess he's just one of the guys, But me personally, like, I gotta have a plan. I gotta be as a staff, and I gotta be very transparent about that plan. Like, one of the best teams going into the draft that can get away with this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't need a quarterback. They have all their positions of need wrapped up. This isn't an urgency draft for Tampa Bay. They're a young team. They might have to replace a receiver, but they don't need to. They still got young receivers on the team. They still got old veterans on the team. They've been in the playoffs for the last 5 years. And, if they draft a quarterback, nobody's going to, like what you mentioned before, like, don't threaten Jared Goff. Nobody's going to do that, So if they drafted a quarterback, that's cool because they good at developing talent. They actually have a plan for guys, like Lorenzo Adams said, like Lorenzo Allen. Yeah, he said, like, have depth for the team and make an overall better team. Well, we've had depth 3 years, and we got 2 playoff wins out of that. The first round, the anonymity with it is that you get stars out of the first round. That's what it's about. It's about adding difference makers. And if you feel you can't add a difference maker, at least add depth that you can grow, or players that, because Milton Williams was depth. And he later became a difference maker. Like, I think Lions fans got to get out of this. We can't pay everybody. They have this scarcity, low frequency mindset of we can't pay everybody. We have to draft good or else we can't. It's always this, we can't threaten Goff. We can't. You can tell they haven't been winning that long. They've been only winning for 3 years, 2 years. So it's not even like.
Man, listen, I saw a comment earlier that said, quote, about the Jake Fromm release. Oh, they're gonna go ahead and probably either trade or release Hooker during the draft or after the draft, and then they'll bring back Jake probably after the draft. Like, there's people that really believe that this man is just going to be, he's just entitled to be the number 2 pick.
Yeah, look, we need to be concerned about this pass rush. This is these fans that are talking about this stuff, and I know who you're talking about. These guys are talking about this stuff, and I would say their names, but I don't want to cause no issues. These guys are not nobodies, bro. Look, they're going to ride with Holmes regardless if you draft a quarterback, if you don't draft a quarterback. They have no pulse when it comes. They have no idea about defense, special teams, offense. They don't even know the difference between a curl and an out route. So for me, like, we just need to focus on this pass rush. If you come away with 3 people on the defensive line, or maybe a pass rushing edge when you get into a 3-4 set, you can pass rush with a certain type of linebacker. Maybe we can start talking about looking at quarter. You have 3 years of ranking either 23rd or less or below at the pass rush. Quarterbacks, and I'm not trying to shut you up. I'm trying to shut them up because they've been talking about this quarterback stuff. It's bizarre to me, man. It's like, look, all right, cool. Draft who you wanted out this draft? Because when I talk to those same people and I try to add context, I'm like, okay, who do you want? Well, we could get Tyler Shaw or Will Howard. Yeah, he's our guy. Will Howard is the second round pick. So you want to pass up on an edge for a quarterback you want to develop after Goff is gone. Well, Goff is going to get another contract with us. Well, if Goff plays till he's 38, when will Will Howard play? See, when you start asking questions to people, they start like, they don't have a plan. They just hate what they hate. The Hendon Hooker's off the team. He off the team. I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I look at these fans like, do you not see the pass rush? Do you not see? Because these same fans they love the depth players. We love our guys. And then guess what? As soon as we lose against the Commanders, well, we didn't have the players. You won 11 straight. You won 11 straight games. Like, these fans, they kill me, man. That's why it all stops today. So all that Nick Scorton stuff and all that stuff that y'all be talking about, shouting out these names, he's just shouting out names and Will Howard, and it all stops today. And I love it. This weekend is the best weekend because you get facts. What were the guys looking into? What did they want? Who did they want? What was the value? And we're going to get opinions too, like,
well,
on reaches.
That was a big reason why. And I'm not really trying to pat us on the back with what we did last night, but I think we had one of the more realistic, well-rounded mock drafts I've seen out of everybody, because we addressed every single position on the team. And like we were saying last night, if you went through that mock draft we had last night and you had a problem with it, it's a problem with it because you don't want to take a quarterback. But if you would ignore Booker from Alabama, and you would ignore Jamari Caldwell, and you would ignore Zah Frazier, and you would ignore getting Ollie Gordon, a running back in the 7th round, all because you don't want a quarterback, that's crazy. And I think that people are too hung up on positions instead of the players.
Okay.
My thing is this. I don't give a damn about edge if the right player is on the board. I'm not the man that said repeatedly about reaching. When people get too hung up on positions and, okay, it's the first. Yeah, the number 1 left tackle is on the board, but the 6th edge rusher is still on the board, and we need an edge, so go edge. I want the best players. I'm tired of this idiotic way people approach the draft. Position. What should we do in the first? Edge. Well, where's the context behind it? I don't have any. Just take edge. Like,
this is the third draft. This is the third draft in a row. They've needed the same 3 positions. This is the third draft in a row.
I'm not saying you ignore it. I'm not saying you ignore any position that you need. What I'm saying is, when you start reaching, trying to shove a square peg in a round hole simply because you're trying to fill a need, that's how you end up with busts. That's how you end up. Look at the Baltimore Ravens. How many years did the Baltimore Ravens take players at positions people said they didn't need? But they were all about quality. That was the whole thing. You're not gonna push me into a situation where I'm gonna take somebody just for the hell of it, to fill a need, and you want me to pass on all these other players. But when these other players turn out to be all pros at a position, you should have took this guy instead of that guy. But I feel the need like y'all told me to. That's the whole thing. You have to have context behind it. You can't just take a position just for the hell of it. That's how you end up missing on good players.
Okay, let's refer to the tape then. Okay, the Lions stacked the box. The Lions blitz more than anybody.
This has nothing to do with what I'm saying, though.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying. Look.
I get what the need is.
Jaden Daniels had 12 passes. Okay, and they blitzed 12 times. And they didn't get 1 pressure. That's concerning. That you're blitzing on 12 plays and you didn't get a pressure on a blitz and you're overloading the box. That's not good. Okay.
Well, if that's the case, then
good.
If the situation is that dire, then go trade up and go get a stud. Then if it's that dire, then but who says he's going to beat? This is the thing. We sitting at 28. How the hell do we know what's going to happen 27 picks ahead of us?
You want to trade up to what?
It's all speculation. We sitting at 28. We not sitting at 5. We sitting at 28 speculating on who we know going to be there.
Well, I only use Ezraku as an example. You have 20 edges in this class that have a pass rush win rate of 20% or more.
Are they all first
Aiden
round talents?
Are they all? That's first round production. I mean, like, you're not getting that from Levi Onwuzurike. You're not getting that from Davenport. You're not giving that from nobody. That's
okay.
rare.
So let's say they get the edge rusher at 28 you want.
Okay.
And then at 60, they get a defensive tackle or they get an offensive guard.
That's a great draft. That's a great draft.
Are you still caught up in them taking a quarterback in another round? Because I never once said take a quarterback in the first round. I never once said take one in the second. I clearly stated multiple times at some point in time through this 7-round draft, I would like to see us get a quarterback. And people damn near blew a gasket. It's
I'm not blowing a gasket. I just
what are you gonna do?
Look, your defense is pedestrian, man. And then I don't want to hear these.
Do that mean go defense with 7 picks?
Yes.
Oh, come on. No team ever does that. No team ever does that.
Look. Check this out. Example. I'm gonna bring up an example. The 1979 49ers had a secondary issue. Clear as day. Everybody knew it. They draft Lott. They bring in a free agent. They draft 3 other DBs. Their whole draft was littered with different positions, but you could tell that whole offseason they worked on a DB class. They even hired a DB coach and a defensive coordinator to work extensively with DBs. They won championships. This team has a D-line coach, probably the second best in the league, right? If you can consider that one guy went to, wherever he went to, New England. They have this guy from Tampa Bay who literally had a defense that had, we had 9 sacks from Vita Vea. You had another 8 sacks from Kancey. And he was using stunts and combinations. He was doing TEs and ETs, all types of stunts. Give him something to work with. That's what we're saying. We're not saying just draft a bunch of edges. We're saying, look, y'all have proven, Lions, that y'all have nothing to work with. We gave Levi Onwuzurike a chance. He even went out in free agency and nobody wanted him. I'm just saying, man.
What is the argument then? Because I said to get an edge. So what is the argument? That's what I'm saying. What is the
look?
I never once said don't draft the edge. I never once said take a quarterback in the first. So I don't get what the argument is. I'm talking about taking a quarterback at some point in time, and you're saying that if they take a quarterback in the 6th round or take one in the 7th, you're telling me that you couldn't find a defensive player better in the.
That's a waste. That's a waste. That's a waste.
9 times out of 10, if you can get somebody towards the end of the 7th, you can probably have him as an undrafted free agent. So that's quarterback or edge rusher or corner or safety for that matter. But you got to draft somebody unless you're going to take those 2 7th-round picks and trade them and pick up a 6th next year or a 5th or something like that. I mean, you got to pick somebody.
If you feel like you could find the next Tom Brady in this draft that went to a school and had leadership qualities and he had grit and all that stuff. If you feel like you could find a pick at 199 and he's Tom Brady, go ahead. Absolutely.
How many of these picks at 244 turn out to be starters? Whether it's a quarterback or anybody. Very, very small percentage of those guys turn out to be starters.
This is actually your fault, this conversation, because you know what?
Fault?
Is Mekhi Wingo. I didn't believe in Mekhi Wingo until Seattle game. In Seattle game, he was doing some work. I was like, this little short dude doing some work. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, I liked him. I saw what he was at LSU and what they put on his plate. I never thought he was going to be a every down defensive tackle. People here was, they was making Aaron Donald comparisons. This is why I be hating some of the content that comes out of this goofy city sometimes. They were comparing this man to Aaron Donald. They saw 6 foot, they saw 270, they saw at 280 something, and they compared the man to Aaron Donald. He was last season, before he got hurt, what I thought he was going to be. A rotational guy. The problem with him was, due to injuries, they had to put him in a situation, in a role where he had to do way more than they wanted him to do. Yeah. He was responsible, right along with DJ Reader, for the few games he was able to play with him. He was responsible, and Pascal coming in, rotating. You got these dudes responsible for the run fits as well as the pass rush.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why dudes broke down. You asking a 6 foot, 283-pound defensive tackle tweener to play nose, to play two tech. You asked him to go in there and just get beat up by guards all day, and what happened? His ass got put on IR.
Yeah,
He's not meant to be a starter.
Yeah, you know what's funny is they have 9 defensive linemen as I counted. They have 9 defensive linemen, so you could say right now they're set at defensive line. They have the backups and the starters, and they have like it worked out. It's the position with the most depth. But those guys, with the exception of Aiden Hutchinson, who I'm wearing his jersey, those other guys ain't giving you nothing. I do like what Mekhi Wingo did. God bless him. But Davenport, he probably gonna play 2 games and get hurt. And then what's funny is like a person we're not talking about who not even gonna be there is Aleem McNeil, and we don't even expect him to get any sacks because he's not a disruptor in that part of the game. So I need something. I need a Jamari Caldwell. Give me something. Like I've preached. I need 2.5 rotational guys or starters out of this draft on defense. I mean, on defensive line, especially. I want the narrative for the offseason to be it's going to be a bloodbath. If you want a spot on this team, you have to earn your spot. So bye Broderick Martin. Bye Broderick Martin. If you cannot beat Glasgow on some type of like run, push, pull technique or something, you're out of here. If you can't, like, bro, like the Eagles like had this bloodbath mentality all the time and had an elite rotation. And look, it is what it is. Like, look, if you don't produce, man, I don't want you around because you're one of the guys. You play chess in the locker room and you're cool. I'm not looking for that, bro. I'm done with that, bro. I'm trying to win a chip, bro. I've been a Lions fan for what, 25, 28 years. I ain't got time for this no more, bro. And even the winning is cool. I like winning. I like being relevant, but I watched the Arizona Cardinals go to a Super Bowl, bro. I'm tired, bro. And a faction of this fan base is tired. A faction of this fan base is ready to rock. We ready to rock. We not looking for no excuses. We not looking for no, well, we went 15-2, guys. We lost to Jaden Daniels, bro. I don't care if my wide receiver speaks German, bro. They keep putting stuff in front of us that don't matter. Netflix, and I'm tired, bro. We tired.
Yes. So the fork meets the road. I mean, this team has went from different pinnacles. You went from winning 12 games to making it to the NFC Championship game to the next year winning 15 games and getting the first round exit. So where do you go from here?
9-0 on the road. You know what's funny?
Maybe won 11 straight games.
Maybe they should have lost that Vikings game and they could have been 10-0 on the road. I don't know. I know we can beat LA. I don't know. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, bro?
I don't.
Look, you one of them people that's patient. And your patience, it permeates throughout everything you do. You patient with your job, you patient with your kids, you patient in life. And I respect you for being patient. But there's a faction of this fan base like myself. We are not patient. I feel bad for the Brent DeWitts and the Lisa DeLorenzos that are 60 plus and been dealing with futility. And I don't blame Brad Holmes for that. Brad Holmes was in LA soaking it up with the boys in St. Louis and stuff. I don't feel bad for that. But I see a lack. And if you're lacking, look, I want somebody to come in there like James Pierce and say, yeah, they brought me in because y'all didn't have no pass rush. Well, we're a bunch of grit guys. You're lacking. You lack. You without. You don't have.
I think, and I get it. As Lions fans, we suffered for a very, very long time. But the real quick microwave Super Bowl typically don't happen. Mm-hmm. But if you think about the times that it did happen really quick, think about the teams that happened to. When the Rams won that Super Bowl back in '99, they came from out of nowhere. They had a quarterback who came from off the street that threw for over 40-something touchdowns. They had Marshall Faulk in the back, but they had the most explosive offense in the league, and they led the league in takeaways. And they had a dynamic quarterback. He wasn't mobile, but Kurt Warner was dynamic with his arm, getting the ball downfield. Even though the Bengals they made the Super Bowl, they didn't win it, but they had a young stud quarterback in Joe Burrow. They had some help along the way. But for the most part, and then you look at all the other teams, even if you go through the New England Patriots gauntlet of winning, 20 years of just being the most relevant organization in the NFL. Think about the teams that won it, the years they didn't win it. Ben Roethlisberger won it twice with Pittsburgh, Hall of Fame quarterback. Aaron Rodgers won one. He beat Pittsburgh that 1 year, Hall of Fame quarterback. Who else won? Eli. Now you can debate how great Eli Manning ultimately was, but Eli won too. Eli played. Eli played, but he also he did, but also as poorly as Eli played in the regular season, he played really well in the playoffs in both of them, those drives, those runs for that matter. Joe Flacco wasn't all that great during the regular season, played outstanding in the playoffs, especially that playoff run that they had. What I'm getting at is all of these teams that won, their quarterbacks were the driving force.
My quarterback,
regardless, and you love Hurts. You love Hurts, and I like Hurts too. Hurts is dynamic. Like Hurts can make plays.
I love Hurts.
Well, you do.
I love Hurts. No, what? Don't put that.
You always sending me some Hurts shit. Always some Hurts stuff.
I just think he a leader. Like sometimes you need a leader. Sometimes you don't need.
But he can also can make things happen. When he's on the field and the Eagles are facing a 3rd and 16, he's a threat to pick it up with his legs. That's the whole point that I'm making. He's not just I'm gonna stand here in the pocket, and if don't nobody get open on this short dig, I'm gonna get my head took off. Like he ain't that type of quarterback.
He's got character, grit.
He'll be a perfect Detroit Lion. He would. But no, to get back to what I was saying, none of those teams that won one out of the blue, and the Ravens were really good for years. They just kept falling short to the Patriots constantly. But all of those teams that did win one out of the blue, they had a quarterback. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the only one.
You don't think we had a
in the Baltimore Ravens? Well, they had a quarterback that was the driving factor behind it all.
4,500 yards, 37 TDs, first time in history. He's not the driving force. He's not the driving force.
I got eyes. Stats are for people without eyes. I got 3 good ones.
If he proved himself to me, because I liked him when he first got here, and then I saw him play in 21, and then in 22, saw him play again, and in 23. He proved himself to me. He's I don't know, man. You don't think he's the driving force? Well, okay. Wait, you think it's the running game? I can understand that. The running game, the offensive line. Wait, what? You don't think it's the offense at all?
No. I'm listening to this about Goff, man. I'm listening to it. Listen. I'm gonna say this. The same thing that we've said about Levi Onwuzurike. Okay. I mean, now come on. Now I don't know where this is coming from because you be trashing Goff to me, but now it's like you love him.
No.
I don't get it. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do it. You was pounded the table saying that he was responsible for the playoff loss. You hate people don't hold him accountable now. They don't do it.
They don't
do it. But no, I mean, obvious though. Like we know what elite quarterback play is now. Let's be honest about it. We know Lamar Jackson driving force. We know Josh Allen driving force. We know what elite quarterback play is. And to make the comparison to like Levi Onwuzurike, we talked about how PFF had him ranked this and that. But when you walked away from Detroit Lions games this past season, did you ever walk away from any of those games saying, damn, Levi kicked the ass out there?
No.
That's why I say people have it. This is the stat era where people allow stats to tell them what to think. Because before PFFs made it cool to like him, nobody liked him. I sit back and I watch this. Before PFF made it cool to like Levi Onwuzurike, nobody here liked him. And people wanted him to go. The moment people heard PFF say, well, he was the number one or the second rated defensive tackle, the graded D tackle of this and that, now he's good. I just sit back and I watch how people let PFF and these other stats, these publications tell them what to think. That's my whole thing. I understand what numbers a guy put up. I understand what numbers even Brock Purdy put up in San Francisco.
Perfect game, first time since 1934. Perfect game.
Okay. Well, let me tell you all this.
His bed in the playoffs. He does. I don't know what I don't know what happens to him in the NFC
You know what, like I
Championship
said,
game when he misses
I
two
said
throws.
to Ashanti a couple weeks ago, this season that coming up, I was gonna sit back and I was gonna let this elite quarterback be the driving force. So since he's all of these things that people say he is, he should have no problem carrying the load.
He should have no problem.
He lost his OC. Doesn't matter. You're elite. He's big time.
I like.
You still got St. Brown. You still got Hall of Fame jacket left. I mean, right tackle. You got 2 running backs.
Either way, I win.
Yeah.
Either way.
I said, I understand in this day and age in the NFL, quarterbacks pretty much put up numbers. That's another reason why you can't always allow numbers to tell you how to view these players. Now the truth about I think Goff is gonna come out this season because his OC is gone. So your OC being gone.
I seen that comment in the thing. No more coddling. But you know what? Ben Johnson said something in 2023. I think Ben Johnson hit it on the head in 2023. And I got the clip. I could send it to you. This narrative that I'm the driving force. This is no. It's our guys. Our guys are making the plays. I'm just putting them in. Like it's our guys, and I shouldn't be this driving force. Like our guys. I'm here, but he said that in 23.
Yeah.
He said it's all on them. They got to execute the play he put in. He all he do is make a call. That's what he said.
I wonder, do they say that when they go into the boardroom and start the negotiations with their agent with them? That's funny.
No, it's good. That's good. That's a good.
I mean, I get it. He's a point guard, and I get it. I get it. He's a point guard. He's a pure point guard in a league full of score first 2 guards, or a league full of combo guards, to say the speak.
I mean, he threw the interceptions before he got the concussion. So he was throwing interceptions before the concussion, and fumbling the ball before the concussion. So I can't entirely blame the concussion, but what I can blame is just a lack of mental awareness. I don't know. I think everybody was in Cancun. I think my quarterback was in Cancun. I think my defense was in Cancun, and Lions fans was definitely in Cancun because they came away and said we were injured. And I'm like,
but that brings me back to what we've talked about these quarterbacks, these elite quarterbacks across the league. After that game against Washington, the first thing I said to my brother, we were sitting next to each other watching the game. The very first thing I said about Goff was, at his age and his experience in the NFL, he can't perform like that.
Mm-hmm.
You look like the rookie. You've been around, and I'm not saying you can't have a bad game. You're entitled to have a bad game, but you can't go out there and look like a fish out of water in 7-step drops. It's like whenever they put him in situations last season, they did it against Tampa Bay, they lost. They did it against them, Washington, they lost. Whenever they put him in situations where it wasn't quick pass game, it wasn't timing, it was 7-step drops, 6-step drops, survey the field, push the ball down the field, make downfield decisions, he struggles. And it was unsettling for me to watch my quarterback on the biggest stage, everybody across America watching, my quarterback look like a fish out of water when you asked him to drop back and throw the football.
You know what's funny is I think that if the Lions did interview a quarterback and I'm talking about a real interview, not combines where it's 10 minutes. I'm talking about a real one. And let's say it was like they brought in a guy for like a visit and they put some plays on the board and then they went on the grass and he remembered all those plays. He remembered all that stuff and he executed all that. And you see a guy thinks and excels like that, I'll draft him. That's what I will draft. Because that was a trait of Matt Ryan. That was a trait of Andrew Luck, where they had this like, I don't want to call it like photographic memory, but they had somewhat similar memory. Like they could remember plays and recall plays. If you know,
well, Luck did go to Stanford. So
Yeah. If you notice about Stafford can rehearse the plays he ran in Detroit 6 years ago, 12 years ago. And McVay, that's what McVay was a driving force for McVay, because McVay didn't have that recall with his at then current quarterback. I don't know who that was. But that current quarterback that he went to the Super Bowl with didn't have that much recall. I don't know who he went to the quarterback. I don't know. When he went to his first Super Bowl and played in New England, I don't know who he had. But he had some guy, I don't know, Jared Leto. And Jared Leto.
He had Kellen Clemens.
Yeah, Kellen Clemens. And he couldn't remember. So it's nice. Oh, what up, Kurt Steele? It's nice that if they interview a guy and this guy has perfect recall and he's memorizing plays and he's just blowing you away mentally, and then you see the ball he throws and it's a nice ball, and you start to like tick, 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 tick. You start to think what you can do with him. I would do that. If you get that feeling from a mobile quarterback who can light it up, sure, I'll do it. I'll be open to it. But guess what? It's only going to put pressure on Hendon Hooker. It's not going to put pressure on Jared Goff. Jared Goff, the only pressure Jared Goff has is he got to figure out how to spend his money, because he got 50, 60 million of them boys. Okay? So that's the only pressure he going to ever get.
I will say this, because people forget Dan Campbell has said it a couple times. He's also, after losses to Buffalo, losses to Baltimore, he's been spoke glowingly of Lamar Jackson. He's spoke glowingly of Josh Allen. You can't tell me a football player like Dan Campbell doesn't recognize what a gangster is at quarterback. I remember when he first came here, he knows what it looks like. He doesn't have it.
He like mobile quarterbacks before the Stafford trade. I like quarterbacks that can move in the pocket, manipulate the pocket, run outside. He also
said that's a necessity in this day and age. And he said that when he first got Goff. So it's sometimes you end up you got to dance with who brought you.
Look, if Lions
Goff has been a good woman. He's been a real good woman. If not to call him a woman, but to make that comparison, he's been that real good woman. But do you feel like you can upgrade from her?
What's funny is like people used to criticize Geno Smith's processing, and they used to criticize CJ Stroud's processing, and then he gets on the field and he's one of the smartest players that DeMeco Ryans ever been around, and DeMeco Ryans been around some people, and his recall was another thing. Like he can contextualize a play. He knows what everybody's doing. You can name a play from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and that was the key in them taking him. And Carolina, the quarterback's coach, I think his name was McCowan or whatever. I think he got fired, but whatever. He wanted Stroud bad because he knew CJ Stroud's processing was amazing. So when you have a guy who can process, I don't necessarily care if they mobile or not. But if you're talking about I can teach you something and you remember it and I don't have to go over it again, that's like rare. So I could install new things. I could put a load on you, because Jared Goff is going to get more of the ownership of the offense this year. And that came out this year. So I'm like, what didn't he have? I thought he had an audible rate. I thought what are we talking about? Like, he's getting more. We're in year 4 and we're talking about get more of the load. What's up, Chrome?
It's still, if you think about it, it still goes like the talent of the quarterback. You got to have brains too. You have to have some brains also. You can't just be a big talented quarterback out there with a 10-cent brain. But historically, the great quarterbacks have all been big time physically talented players. Even if you go back to Peyton Manning, wasn't the most physically talented player, had it all upstairs, pretty much created his own offense. What happened to him consistently when he got to the playoffs? He performed very, very poorly. Very poorly. Early on with the Colts, he was the reason they lost a decent amount of those playoff games. And even when they won the Super Bowl finally over the Chicago Bears, they gave him MVP of the Super Bowl, but he didn't play well in that Super Bowl. He actually played terrible that entire playoff run.
Yeah.
So it's like
They surrounded Goff with amazing talent,
Yeah.
though.
I
He
think more
can't.
than anything, you got to have some gamer in you because Brady wasn't the biggest gamer. I mean, he wasn't the most physically talented player, but Brady graduated from game manager to gunslinger. You got to have some
You,
gamer in you. You can't just
you,
be a straight game manager.
you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that if Jared Goff wins this game, we don't talk about
What
this.
game?
If he
Washington?
wins if he wins the game and performs handedly, if Jared Goff has a moment, like I'm gonna take you back to 1997. If Jared Goff has a moment like Elway, where he's literally running and you see the heart, and he takes this hit and he still get up, and you see this crazy
in
heart
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in the oh yeah,
yeah, it was in the Super Bowl against Green Bay. It can't be Week 12 against Cleveland or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it could be any week, but if you just see if you just see this like, if you see this like confident, maybe I don't know, demonstrative, like this high emotion, maybe you don't get this, because this same stuff is the Caldwell stuff. How you talking reminds me of how they talked about Caldwell. I just don't know if he can do it. And he's got me. He didn't perform in the play, and Caldwell's gone.
Let's be honest. Until you win it, there's questions about you. People got questions about Josh Allen. They got questions about Lamar Jackson. Until you prove you can win it, there's gonna be questions about you. Now, granted, has he played well? Yes, he's played well.
Mm-hmm.
He played well with the Rams for a few years. But he still has that stench on him from that playoff, that Super Bowl loss to New England. And if you're being honest about it, the second half against San Francisco and 4 quarters against Washington, that's 6 quarters of not good football.
So you saying the answer to our answer to our questions about Jared is in the 7th round? I'm sorry.
Did anybody hear me say I'm drafting Jared Goff? See, and I think this is a problem too. This
I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, Chrome, 200 subs. What's up, Chrome? I appreciate that. That's the thing about the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Whenever you draft one, people think you're trying to replace somebody. Yeah. When there's a spot for 3 of them or 4 of them, on the roster. I just think that, man, there being so much uncertainty. And listen, I don't know. Just being honest about it, they may love Hendon Hooker. It may just be all media speculation around him, but we don't know. Have they shown any real confidence in him? They just cut Fromm. I mean, looking at the quarterback situation, I think they do need to take one. Now, whether they're going to get a guy as an undrafted free agent or whatever. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They drafted Tanner McKee out of Stanford a couple years ago. McKee stepped in, played well for them in spots last year. Quiet down now. Chill. Damn. But yeah, they still have Jalen Hurts. So were they foolish to draft a quarterback? I mean, the best organizations in football draft quarterbacks every year or every other year. I just don't. Same thing with this whole character thing. He's okay for the Eagles or he's okay for the Chiefs, but we're too good for that type of player. Like, what have we achieved for some fans to view like we're just so above everything else? That's my whole thing. Championship organizations have Hall of Fame quarterbacks and draft them. So if they're doing it right, what makes us think we're over here reinventing the wheel by not taking a quarterback? This organization went 6 years without taking a quarterback after they drafted Stafford?
Jared Goff remind me of Matt Hasselbeck. You can win with Matt Hasselbeck. You can go to a Super Bowl with Matt Hasselbeck. You can go. I mean, he went to one before, so all we got to do is deliver. That's all we got to do. We got to deliver. What gets me, riled up is like, we could, like you said, good organizations draft quarterback all the time. They always have the Eagles always have a third quarterback. And guess what? Guess where the Eagles got that from? Yeah. Guess where the Eagles got that from? The Packers. And the Packers, look, with Holmgren and Andy Reid, that's what they believed in. And that comes from Bill Walsh. And if that comes from Bill Walsh, we're talking about 70 years of football passed down to 2 guys, Andy Reid and Holmgren. And just the level of talent in that coaching room.
Yeah.
So
And
I'll
quite
give
a
you the
handful of them
quarterback.
too. A
Yeah, and
handful of them, more than a handful of those Packer quarterbacks they drafted went on to be starters in other places.
Yeah.
Like people forgot Aaron Brooks was over there before he left and became a starter with the Saints. It was a decent amount of guys they had over there. So
Hasselbeck, Flynn, guys got paid out of there because guys knew the
yeah.
game. But I will say this, like I will say, if we draft a quarterback, I'll be less mad. You've convinced me. You've convinced me. But I still say,
I'm not
look,
saying take Shador at 28.
I'm
I'm
not
not saying if
that
he
either.
falls
I'm not
or Jackson Dart. You're gonna take Jackson Dart at 28?
Mr. Interception? No, I'm cool on that. Like it got to be a certain guy. And you know what's funny? If I watch the film and I don't like him, I'm not gonna like him. So don't think I'm just don't think you just convinced me and I'm just gonna go along with the shit. I'm gonna look. If I watch the tape of Tyler McGriff out of I don't know, Norfolk State, Tyler McGriff better be a dog. I better see dog. I better not see no culture draft like last year. Better not see no, oh, he's our friend. No, I better not see that. I don't care about that.
Man said friend.
I don't care about that, bro. He's our guy. How is he your guy? You don't even know, bro. You don't even know him. You didn't know his name.
Don't worry. He's a Brad Holmes guy.
Oh, and guess what? The Lions are part of that IPP program this year. So don't be surprised if they take some dudes from some Australias and some Netherlands or some nonsense. They went to the IPP Pro Day and they was having a deep, in-depth conversation with a guy named Izazika. And this is like a 6'6" defensive lineman that played rugby. All they're gonna talk about is his movement and his ability and all this other, free game. He free game. He pay him $2 American. And never mind. I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say it.
All right, man. So let's let's get back to this draft, man. Let's get back to this draft. All right, so somebody brought up, I think Mary Smith brought up TJ Watt. My boy Rob, I'm gonna just call him Rob, super random stupid, because that's my brother right there.
Okay.
He brought up TJ Watt. I don't know how much, if this story has any legs to it. I'm pretty sure if it was a trade. Whew, boy. So you're talking about, I want to ask you about this because I understand it's win now mode for a lot of fans and get TJ Watt at any cost, get Myles Garrett at any cost.
You draft that.
TJ wants a new contract. And you're not going to play him like Hassan Reddick, like the Jets play Hassan Reddick. I would hate to see the Lions organization do that. That would be very Bush League and second rate as an organization to trade for somebody that wants a new contract. They want a new contract. And then when you get them over here, well, I told you I was going to get some Benihana's, but, I got these Tostino's pizza rolls in the freezer, if you want
I didn't know
these,
that.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah. We talked, me and Ashanti talked about on the show a few weeks ago about TJ. Well, you was on that video, matter of fact, when we was talking about TJ Watt coming up. Pittsburgh has to deal with his contract next season. And it was the possibility of the same kind of situation that the Browns went through with Myles Garrett. So supposedly, I think TJ Watt erased Pittsburgh, all that, erasing Pittsburgh off his social medias, all that other stuff.
TJ Watt did that?
Yeah, well, it's competition, man. You see what Myles Garrett got. So you got to understand, if this not coming from the organization, I don't know how much relevance I can give to it. Because it seems to me that you're going to pay Aiden Hutchinson coming up. That's your guy. That's your boy. Mm-hmm. You're going to bring in TJ Watt and make TJ Watt the highest paid defensive end ever or the highest paid edge rusher ever. And is it about the totality of the contract, or do you just want to make $1 more per year than Myles Garrett makes? Like there's a lot that goes into this, more than just trading for a guy. And I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh, they don't want Jameson Williams for TJ Watt. Like that's not, they got receivers over there. They just got DK Metcalf. I've seen people the Lions fans bringing up, well, we can send J-Mo over there. What makes you think Pittsburgh wants Jameson Williams when they already got Pickens and they got not TJ Watt, but they got DK Metcalf over there? And you're talking about having to give Jameson Williams a new contract eventually. They also got Calvin Austin III. Like they already loaded at wide receiver. If Pittsburgh is going to do business with us, Pittsburgh wants draft capital. That's what the hell Pittsburgh wants. And it's not going to be, oh, we can just send Pittsburgh a third and maybe a second next year, and that should be able to get it done. Like that, no. You're not dealing with dumbasses. Pittsburgh ain't going to let you fleece them. And that's something else that bothers me about a lot of times about certain fans with this fan base. We always trying to fleece somebody. We always want somebody's best player, but we want to fleece them. That's all they talk about is fleecing another organization. Pittsburgh not going to let you fleece them. They're not going to just give away TJ Watt. That's the whole thing. And it's going to cost some draft capital. I'm not sure if that happens. It could happen during the draft. I don't think it happens with us. Mainly because Brad hasn't shown us nothing over these first 4 years to say that he's going to make that type of move. So what do you make of all this? I haven't heard too much about it from anybody credible within the league or the Lions organization or Steelers organization. What do you make of this?
I say ask yourself 3 questions if you're a Lions fan. Has Brad Holmes done this in the past? What is his stance on this? And is your cap available for this? If you have no's on that, or if you have negative information on that, don't even look at it. Because Watt might go. His brother worked for Houston for all them years. He didn't even in with the same team. He went to Arizona. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I will say this. The value of a TJ Watt on this team is instrumental. Is great. I would romanticize it in my, what's that? The fantasy leagues. But if I'm playing fantasy football, I also want, CJ Stroud or, Lamar Jackson. And then since I'm playing fantasy football with these pass rushers, like all Lions fans have been doing all season long, let's get those Myles Garrett jerseys back. I want to see the Myles Garrett jerseys. And I want to see the Lions fans wear the TJ Watt jersey. I wanted Trey Hendricks. They put a jersey on everybody. I don't know who does
Chase
it.
Young
making money. Yeah, they put a jersey on everybody. Everybody got a number. We got a number for everybody. I seen a Kayvon Thibodeau jersey on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's coming back out. I remember that when I was a thing.
There was also they was also talking about fleecing the Giants. We can get him for a fourth. Okay.
It's funny.
Double-digit sacks. Okay.
No disrespect to the people in the chat, because the people in the chat are actually thinkers, and I think
these are solid people.
Yeah. But I think that Lions fans, the slappies, and if you don't consider yourself a slappy, okay. But if you think we can fleece and get away with everything, and we have no Super Bowls, and we have no Howie Roseman in the office, we have a very patient man, a very supportive man of his guys. A guy who got injured playing, college football, came back from a car accident, played another season, was a team captain. Do you think a guy who graduated from NC State, went to, St. Louis as a PR person and then ended up, if you think a guy who ended up in scouting, worked in scouting for 20 years is going to not be patient and give Pittsburgh everything he has, even though his dad played for Pittsburgh and he has a lot of family in Pittsburgh. Do you think this guy gonna do that? I just want to know, Lions fans, because like some of y'all think y'all Howie Roseman. Like he's not Howie Roseman, bro.
He told them to get their popcorn ready.
Yeah, they popcorn.
Whatever that means.
Look, I'm ready. Look, I'm ready for Chaz Chambliss. I'm ready for Isaac Tesla. I'm ready for the guys. I'm ready for look.
Jack
I know
Sawyer.
What I got. Look, Jack could be in Jack could be in play, but Jack is also beloved in Ohio. So there's another team that loves Jack. So if you draft Jack, you got to draft him early because there's another team that loves him. Jack is a good one defender. Jack is good at his pass rush win rate is 26%. That's higher than anybody on your team, with the exception of Aiden Hutchinson. That's really sad. Jack also had 9-10 sacks and then a sack return for a touchdown. Jack would be better than anybody y'all got. So if it's Jack, it's Jack. But I just don't think a person who led his career on patience, a person who led his career on staying in the same place and doing the right thing, and I don't think he has the personality to win now and do all this other stuff and make a sizable move. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's possible, bro. I really don't. Which round do you think a guy Eraton Esterly will go? Third round.
I think it all depends. All depends. I did do a little bit of scouting on him back in November. Little small scouting company I was working with put me up on him. Also, Ozzie Trapilo, the senior out of Minnesota. No, Boston College. He's out of Minnesota. Ozzie's out of Boston College. I will say this, man. The only issue I really had with him is he doesn't play physical enough consistently. And sometimes you go through that with not defense tackles, but some of these offensive linemen, they're so big, huge, athletically gifted. Everything works for them. So in theory, they don't have to always be as technically sound all the time, for that matter. He also seemed to get bored sometimes out there. You see that with some of those offensive tackles for that matter. But it all depends on how you view him. I've seen mock drafts where he was rated as a second round pick, early third. I've seen some people have him towards the end of the first round to Philadelphia. I've seen people had him at the end of the first round to Kansas City. I think at the end of the day, he's a first round, end of the first round talent who could go higher depending based upon how these other tackles go. Will Campbell is a guy that could fall. Everybody thinks Will Campbell is a top 10 pick. He's another guy that has his stock kind of waver up and down. Some people think he's a guard. Some think he's a tackle. I've seen NFL people who think he's the best in the draft. And then you got a guy like Pace Jr., not Pace Jr., but Orlando Brown Jr. from the Cincinnati Bengals. He says Josh Simmons is the best tackle in the class out of Ohio State, right along with Mimbo from Missouri.
Yeah.
So
Mimbo,
it makes me feel good. It all depends on what you're looking for. If you want overall offensive line help, you may want Gray Zabel, or you may want Will Campbell. If you want a pure left tackle, you may want Josh Simmons. You may want Mimbo. It all depends. So Irsay is probably third, I think, talent-wise overall, as far as left tackles. I don't see him lasting to 60. If that's what you're asking, Omar, I think he's a guy that's going to be gone before number 60, because once those tackles start coming off the board, those guys fly. And typically, the 5th or 6th rated left tackle isn't going to last to 60. They're not going to last to the 3rd round. So if we want a tackle of the future, somebody to groom underneath Decker, you have to sacrifice something. People want every need for this team to be solved in the 1st round. You're going to sacrifice something. I guarantee you when pick 28 come around, there's a really good chance there's going to be a stud edge rusher you want, and there's going to be a damn good guard or a damn good offensive tackle on the board that you want. And you're going to have to make that decision. And this is what it comes down to. Do I have a higher grade on that left tackle than I do that edge rusher? That's the whole thing it comes down to. That's the big thing about Josiah Stewart, and why a lot of people don't view Josiah Stewart as a guy that you take at 28. Like, do I take Josiah Stewart at 28, or do I take the number 1 left tackle or the number 1 guard if Gray Zabel's on the board? It all depends on how do you. Yeah,
I was actually going to say in pass protection win rate, another analytic, Wyatt Millum ranks 3rd. Armand Mimbu ranks 2nd. Josh Simmons ranks 1st. Will Campbell, the best one, he ranks 16th. Believe it or not, You rank 16th under Anthony Belton, under guys like Carson Vision. Carson Vision did play against, like, I would say, non-FBS talent, but I will say he's someone you could draft in a later round. I feel like that decision, man, that's to me not a glaring need. Like, the old line probably needs to get younger, but they don't need amazing help. Like, they don't need, like, I don't know where this O line, like, we need O line depth, or I don't know where this came from. Like, I know that your boy didn't perform well to the standard of, well, Graham Glasgow didn't perform well to the standard of, playoff game, but I don't think the whole team showed up. I don't know what they had, what they did, but I would put this on a back burner. Honestly, it's just like that year was 22 when we said, yeah, draft a running back next year. Well, we got a running back. We got 2 running backs. Draft a running back next year. I put it off the back burner. Like, it's not like a dire situation. Like, your defense is dire because you're talking about Maddox at safety. They're talking about crazy stuff. They signed 3 guys that are all 1-year deals at corner. Like, these are guys that play zone defense, Rock Ya-Sin and stuff. These are guys who got beat on the regular. They have probably like 4 or 5 reps on game film that are actually elite reps, and they're not elite players. They came in for less than $2 million. You just re-signed Dorsey for $300,000. Matter of fact, and while you was talking and describing like this player, you know what I thought of? I thought of The Replacements, the movie. And that's the perfect player profile for the Detroit Lions. They draft like they trying to find the Shane Falco and so anybody who's on The Replacements, the guy who can't catch but is super fast, anybody, the tight end who's deaf but he would have went in the first round if he could speak. Like, and he drafted dudes. These misfit toys. We're the other guys, the other Lions.
Man, I'm listening to these dogs just run around above my head upstairs right now. But
sorry.
Anyway, no, you good. I was glad you was talking while they was running around. I had to mute my mic. Whew. It's not the biggest need, but if you look past Penei Sewell, we hope Christian Mahogany keeps on developing. It evolves into a pillar player. Frank Ragnow was still kind of in and out the lineup, still kind of beat up. You don't know how at any point in time he could decide to say, you know what, I had enough. I gave it 3-4 tries. We didn't get there. I'm out. Decker is another guy who's probably long in the tooth, going to be on his way out in another couple years, if not 1 year for that matter. Glasgow's not the long-term answer. Sourcedahl is his damn dog. Sourcedahl turned out to not be any answer at all. So I do think while it's not a dire need, if you can upgrade at that position, that's why I think a lot of people view Tyler Booker as a very strong possibility at that spot, because if you can get a potential elite player at guard or center potentially, it helps out. It does. I don't think it's dire, but it's definitely a need. Now, dire or not, but it's definitely a need.
It definitely should be addressed, like, because you are old, and the offensive line is old. But I have a fundamental difference about the offensive line. Like, you got these bodies in there like Manu, and you got these bodies like Mahogany, and you got guys like Egubacon, and you got guys like, these guys need reps. These guys need to prove it on the field. And I'm one of those people like, all right, so we got, what's his name? Awasaki. Awasaki is like run defense, run offense, whatever. Run offense has improved. Like, when he played, like, I think they benched Mahogany and put Awasaki in. He actually played decent when he had that one game of playing decent. And then obviously the Mahogany game where his pass pro was elite. Well, not elite, but his pass pro was good. And then he was cleaning the pocket and really helping out and really doing something. Like, I want to get those young guys a shot. Even Manu, I want to give a shot. I really want to see what you have. Like, With the defensive line, I've had them for 4 years. I've had most of those guys for 3 years. I know what you are. Like Josh Pascal, I know what you are. I know what you are. Josh Pascal didn't even know he was a power defensive end. He didn't know he was a power rusher till this season. So that tells me he's all off. He didn't even know what his skill set was. So he was a template of a player. He was like a creative dude. He's a creative dude. Just
I can't gloss over that.
I'm just saying.
I can't gloss over that Giovanni Manu now. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this, man. At 28,
I want to see what he got.
I get it. I think at the end of the day, he's probably a bouncer. He's a bouncer. That's what he is. If Tyler Booker and Gray Zabel are both on the board at 28, and you're telling me you're going to, quote unquote, continue to roll the dice on Giovanni Manu, evolve it into an offensive lineman. Listen, you took you traded up and took a flyer on the dude in the 3rd round that you sent to offensive lineman camp.
You have the best offensive line coach in the league.
No, you sent him to LaCharles Bentley's offensive lineman camp, like he's a 12-year-old. And I'm not saying that cornerbacks don't go to work out with other cornerbacks, that shit, but y'all specifically sent him there to learn how to be a refined offensive lineman with somebody you could have gotten as an undrafted free agent. I'm not playing around with that guard position, bro. I'm not. You can not you per se, but whether it's the organization or it's this fan base, do not sell me on passing on blue chip talent on the offensive line when you have Giovanni Manu here. And he's going to evolve into something. Just you wait. You're being a negative Nettie. You just don't want to believe. You're a bad fan.
Well, check this out.
I can't do it. He's not ready to play. He's not even ready to play next season. If we being honest about it, more than likely.
Look, my GM and my coach are patient, and they're going to trust the process. And the process is to develop players. And look, we have a bunch of guys on this roster that are gritty, that are going to fight to the end of the whistle. Yeah, you like that, right? We're going to have
gritty. They eat grits.
Mm-hmm. They eat grits for lunch and breakfast, and these guys are the most polite guys, and they help the old lady walk across the street, and they are the nicest guys. And they got grit. Don't forget, and versatile, and they play inside outside. They're really nice guys. They're nice boys, and that's what we got. And that's what happens when you draft in the 3rd round and you reach. I'm not gonna reach on guys, but I'm rich. I'm gonna get a guy from Switzerland.
I did. Thank you. And I was just about to bring it. I found it funny when you first told me about that interview, and I came home that day and I watched that interview, that full interview. When he said that, the first thing that popped in my head was, "Ain't this about a bitch?"
I'm not gonna reach.
We don't reach. We're not gonna reach on players. Like what? Wait a minute. What? Broderick wasn't a reach.
What was what was that wide receiver he got? Number 17 the first year. What was that dude's name? Wide receiver. His number was 17. What was his name?
They drafted him?
No, they traded a pick for him. His name was something.
Oh, you mean in year 2 was Denzel Mims?
No, it wasn't Denzel Mims. It was a dude from the Denver Broncos, and he had the highest catch rate.
The dude who played quarterback too for them and that squeeze. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
They number 17. I want to get his name. Lions. What is his name? I know somebody knows his name. Lions trade.
Can't remember his name. I know exactly who you're talking about though.
Yeah. They got guys. Look, it wasn't really about 2021 for that year. It was about 2022 for him. And for Manu, it's about 2026. Okay? So 2026, he's going to be ready.
No, you know you're going to hear in the interview, it's not about 2025 for Manu. We're thinking more about 2028. No. By 2028, he should be ready to go.
Don't you have a draft for free agency? Persian? No. I got his name, bro. I got his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just give me a trench draft. I'll be happy. I feel you, Brent. I wouldn't mind a corner either at some point in time.
Trinity Benson.
There you go. Trinity.
Benson.
Yep.
Does that sound like a player to you? That sounds like a hospital, bro.
Trinity Benson.
Trinity Benson Hospital. Look, man. Look. You can't make this up, bro. You can't make this stuff up, bro.
Perryman. Yeah, Perryman was here for a hot second too.
Yeah, he's a free agent. They say, look, we got guys like Perryman, and we got guys like what was his name that got hurt the first game? I forget his name. Oh man, he was a speed threat. We got the guys on the outside, and they can really run. And he's patient. He's a patient GM, bro. He's the most patient in the league. But Howie Roseman.
But this goes back to what the point you was just making initially about 10 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. When has he shown to do anything else? And if you're a person if you're a Lions fan that's in the club of trade Jameson Williams and move on, what are you gonna replace him with? I mean, a rookie? So you're gonna depend on a rookie to come in and replace his production? Oh, Brad is gonna go out in free agency after the draft and get us a big time guy. So you already know. You already know that your GM isn't going to go out and get nobody in free agency. He's not going to go get a Devontae Adams. He's not going to replace J-Mo with a real threat. So you want to replace Jameson Williams with a Trinity Benson? Like, let's be real. Like, that's for people who have Super Bowl aspirations next year. You're going to trade away Jameson Williams, create a second need at wide receiver, and beat the Eagles out. The whole trading Jameson Williams, another thing that we can talk about real quick, just never made any sense to me. Mm-hmm. And then you hear people say, well, we need to trade him before he performs too good. What kind of silly shit is that? Like, trade him. What if he goes out next year and has 1,500 yards? You idiot. You should want him to.
They don't see.
Well, those are also the people that want him gone by all means.
Well, I had to acclimate myself to this idea too. And then, I had to grow a little bit this offseason when they paid Kirby. Because I was one of the people saying, like, I don't know about these two safeties. Because I have the top 1 safety and I got a top 5 safety by league standards. And then all these safeties are top 2 in every category. Well, I would say Kirby's top 2 in 2 categories. And, Kirby's whatever his name is, Branch is top 5 and top 2 in 5 categories, whatever it is. But I had this scarcity mindset that, we couldn't keep them together and, we can't do it. And we might as well like count our hatches and, and I realized where that comes from. That comes from this ideology that we had before with Sue versus Stafford. Who do you pay? And we had an ideology because we had Sue versus Stafford was the actual thing. And we had these people saying, well, we can't keep them both. And then guess what? The salary cap went up like $10 million, and we could have kept them both and paid them both. So the new algorithm, I think Lions fans and myself included should be acclimated to is paying all your people. That's what the Eagles do. And if you got to go into debt, pay your people. I mean, why are you honoring salary cap? I mean, just why? Because the TV money goes up. You just got to deal with Amazon. These billionaires, these oligarchs are getting the money. So look, the cap is going up. Okay, so it's going up every year. It's going up 10 million, 20 million, whatever it is. Just get used to it. Because all that like tit for tat stuff that we was used to. And I mean, if the tickets go up, the money should go up for them too. So
of course.
The Lions got the most expensive tickets in the league with no Super Bowl. That's crazy. It's a discount to go to an Eagles game, and I'm in the cold. It's a discount. So we might as well get used to paying these guys and paying who we want to pay. And I think when we see one of these draft picks that he loves leaves, that'll be an interesting feat because he doesn't let him go. Like he could have let him go. And as far as J-Mo goes, I don't really too much care if he stay or go. I don't care. I want a Super Bowl. And if he gets us closer to that, all right, cool. Because we need a deep threat. Because you have tryhards in the middle. I mean, come on now. I don't think Tim Patrick's going to run a 4.3, not tomorrow. So,
Yeah. I mean, and that goes back to what I was saying. Like, you're gonna have to you don't have to necessarily replace Jameson Williams with a guy with the exact same skill set as him, but you do need somebody that's outside of what St. Brown is, somebody that's outside of what Tim Patrick is for damn sure.
Dante Thornton, Jackson Meeks. Shoot, they might bring in Tesla. He might do something. Tesla just had an issue where he didn't show enough of his ability. He didn't show enough, injury bug, which y'all used to. He fought back from injury. I mean, it is what it is. But, he's a good player. I mean, you get him in the 4th round and you say, hey, Isaac Tesla is going to replace you. You give him the number 12 or 10 or 11, whatever it is, where's 89. And next thing you know, you're going to see Isaac Tesla in the middle, deep down the field and all this stuff. You can find guys like this in this draft. Torrey Horton. You can find guys. But, it depends. Because, it's funny. It's like they should have did something with Antoine Green. It's like when they drafted him and they had no plan for him. Like they just drafted him. Like
Antoine, I don't think Antoine was ever that good, man.
Damn.
I was watching him play at North Carolina. Well, he barely played. This is a red flag for me for any player. I don't care if you went to Alabama, Texas, wherever you went. Dude spent the first 3 years on the bench playing behind Josh Downs, De'Ami Brown, all of those all the North Carolina wide receivers that got drafted over the past 3 years, 2-3 years. He played behind all of them. He was never able to crack that lineup. Finally, your senior year, this is your moment right here. They have no choice but to pay you now. Not pay you, but shit, they are paying guys now. But they had no choice but to play you. You a senior now. Everybody else that's better than you is gone on to the NFL. That was his moment. Playing with Sam Howell. That was his moment, and he did nothing. So that made me think, okay, you didn't play them first 3 years because you wasn't better than, of course, you wasn't better than any of those receivers that were ahead of you on the depth chart. But also, when you finally got the opportunity to play, you still did nothing. It's not like the Alabama players. You ever notice with Alabama and Texas and LSU, it's next man up?
Yeah.
It's always next man up. Well, Malik Neighbors just left and Brian Thomas just left. Don't matter. They got 3 more 5-star receivers that's going to be first-round picks. It happens like that. It didn't happen like that with him. He finally, then you were there for 4 years and you never developed. He was never a route runner. He was just a fast guy. Now, granted, did I have hope for him? I know Ashanti had major hopes for Antoine Green, bro. Back then, I get it because we saw the speed or whatnot. But sometimes these players just ain't that good.
You know what? I don't know. I'm drafting traits in the 5th and 7th round, maybe even the 4th. I'm drafting traits.
Who had traits? Denzel Mims.
Oh, yeah? Oh, dang. All right. Well,
everybody likes the 6'3" receiver that can run 4.3, like Dante Thornton. Is he a really good overall all-around wide receiver? No. But he's tall and he ran fast as hell.
Rate. Yeah.
He's Savion tall Williams, and he can run fast.
I like Savion Williams too. But he could play running back, he could play special teams, he plays all that stuff. But
we were talking about your boy Scatterboo a couple of days ago. He's they type of player. He's a football player. He's gonna help on special teams in the first quarter.
He's gonna help the quarterback. He's gonna help the quarterback.
He's gonna run some wildcat for you. He's gonna do everything. He's gonna call some plays. He's gonna do everything for you.
They draft Scatterboo. That's a waste.
But that's the type of player that they would overdraft, though. Like
exactly.
Vaki. Yeah. Like there was really no need to draft Vaki.
He's Toby Gerhart 2.0. Look,
but he's got grit.
Vaki, look. Vaki was cool, but I can't overlook that. That whole last draft, bro. I can't overlook that, bro. You had 2 players in production, bro. You're not gonna look. I'm telling you, look. I appreciate your channel and you calling out Brad with the culture draft, and I hated that draft too. The only thing about that draft that was good was it was in Detroit, and my name is Spirit of Detroit, so we was on. The whole city was put on. We have $500 million. 300 that million
Listen,
came from
if
the
we get a
draft.
repeat, if we get a repeat of the 2024 draft, this channel is gonna become Saskatchewan Avenue.
Saskatchewan.
We're gonna be Eagles Avenue.
You know, it's funny. I heard he was a bad teammate. Now to see him getting sued by his teammate tells me everything I need to know.
Oh, Scatterboo.
Yeah, they're getting sued now. He's getting sued, and he's the second leading rusher in the FBS, so he's right behind Genty.
You notice they're not shining that much light on that either, though.
What? Oh yeah.
The whole Scatterboo shit.
This whole getting sued and being a bad person.
I had to dig for his information.
The Lions love a good person.
Shador though, horrible attitude, terrible attitude, worst interview I ever did in my life.
I mean,
they trying, man. They piling on that boy so bad, man. Right now,
I'm gonna grab my popcorn for Brad just so he could draft Scatterboo, just so he could grab a try hard, you know. And he's gonna walk out there. Oh snap! I'm getting a call. Voicemail
from Adam Schefter.
You know, it's funny. my job think I'm in Wisconsin right now. I'm on leave. They think I'm in Wisconsin. I'm gonna be on TV, y'all. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm calling off. Would you like to use your PTO? I didn't know that was an option. Okay.
Man, let's get into some prospects for these people.
Yes,
I know they got some questions. Hey, so Brent brought up Elijah Roberts.
Like him.
Of SMU.
Like him.
Big, talented, really raw. Yeah. And the thing about it is, I think a lot of these edge rushers, very few, or even interior pass rush guys, none of them are really that polished outside of Darius Alexander at Toledo, maybe. Derek Harmon isn't the most polished, but he's really elite at what he does right now. If you can get to the next level right now, being really damn good at 2 or 3 moves, and then you can learn more as you grow in the NFL, that's really great. Most of these dudes are big power rushers right now. Same thing with Shamar Stewart. So the question becomes, can you be taught at the next level? Remember Jason Owe from the Baltimore Ravens that they drafted from Penn State 2 years ago? What was the knock on Owe? Big time athlete, 0 pass rush ability. What happens? He went to the Baltimore Ravens. They taught him. Now look at him, where he's at. So, you know, them type of edge rushers, like even Elijah Roberts, and I'm with you on this. I have questions about if y'all get the right talented player, even if it is a Josiah Stewart, it's him, it's Shamar Stewart, whoever it is, Mike Green, James
David
Pierce.
Walker.
Are y'all going to utilize them properly? That's the whole thing. Are you going to take James Pierce and make him just a pure linebacker when he's obviously a pass rusher? Well, we want you to be more versatile. No, this guy has a gift to get after the quarterback. Yeah, we know, but we want more versatility on our team. That's the whole thing. I like Elijah Roberts. He shows a lot of promise. Like I said, if you're talking about a guy, if he had a little bit more bend, I could see him going a lot early. But round 5 or 6, I think Roberts could be a late third, I think. Because once those edge rushers start coming off the board, man, and you don't know who likes who.
22nd
edge rusher.
Yeah. But he's still got a pass rush win rate of over 20%. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, I can find a good player that can be used like a James Houston, and he can get me some sacks. You know, the thing that held us back in the championship game. I mean, the divisional. My bad.
Man, I'm going to say one thing about the whole pass rush rate. And I was watching. It was a good show with Orlando Brown Jr. He was on Chris Sims' show talking about offense. He's talking about the offensive line, man. He brought up a very, very valid point about Will Campbell. He said, he has Will Campbell as his second overall offensive lineman. And he said, and same thing I've been saying about competition. And he talked about Will Campbell giving up a high pressure rate, but he gave up a high pressure rate in the SEC. And he gave up a high pressure rate against defensive ends who are probably all going to be top 60 picks. So do you get caught up in the pressure rate of this offensive tackle played in the Big Ten. he gave up a very low pressure rate, but he also didn't go to get up against anybody that's going to get drafted. That's what, and I constantly go back to as far as context with it. So is your pass rush rate higher because you went against weak ass tackles? Or as an offensive tackle, did you give up a very high pressure rate because you face 6 edge rusher that are all going to get drafted within the first 2 rounds of the draft? I expect you to give up some pressure. Now, he played a damn good game against Shamar Stewart. I'm talking about Will Campbell for that matter. And Shamar Stewart is an athletic freak. He's got longer arms. He's bigger, but he's a power rusher. He's a pure power rusher for that matter. So I'm going to go on to another player. I don't want to get too deep into Shamar Stewart. But yeah. Possibly, yeah. But I will say this about Shamar Stewart. He's going to be probably an elite run defender from day one. But that's not what you drafted him at 28 to be. That's not what you need. You need somebody that can get after the quarterback, get to the quarterback, get some hits, create a ton of pressures. Somebody brought up Wyatt Millam.
That's good.
Comments ago. We do have some graphics. Some of these offensive linemen got off work a little late, so wasn't able to finish these other graphics that I did want to bring up. But if you're talking about Wyatt Millam, talking about the guy gave up 0 sacks allowed the past 3 seasons, prototypical left tackle size, frame, 31 straight starts. Yep. Even with the frame, it's like he's still kind of slender. Not sure how powerful he is overall as far as, the functional strength. Got it right there. Lacks ideal functional strength at point of attack. Appears to have leverage issues, knee bend. That's kind of what you expect from a guy that's 6'6", borderline 6'7", with that type of frame, that type of basketball type frame he has. Now, I do know Ashanti, he's pretty high on Wyatt Millam. I'm not sure. Now, he does have an overall grade, you all see there, of 91.1. But something else that I've also noticed with a lot of these senior offensive tackles, you played for a very long time. So I expect you to be a very damn good player when you leave college off experience alone. And if you look at the quarterback position, and I bring this to people and it shines a light, should be common sense, but it ain't all common. You look at the quarterback position. What rookie quarterbacks performed the best last year? All the seniors. All the 5-year seniors. Even though Penix played the last, 4 games of the season for Atlanta, 4 or 5 games of the season, Penix played well. Bo Nix played well. God has helped get his team to the playoffs. Jayden Daniels, 5-year player, performed well.
Yeah.
When you come out of college, 4-year starter, 5-year starter, I expect you to have grades like that. You shouldn't come out of college as a 4-year starter at left tackle and have a grade of 50.6 or 70.5. It shouldn't happen that way. That's why it's important to really evaluate, I think, especially with these tackles, your skill set. How does that translate to the next level? What was your competition looking like that you went up against in college? And your physical limitations, did they not hinder you in college, but they may hinder you at the next level? Because if teams just drafted everybody, just think of teams just went on PFF and drafted everybody based off what PFF said. You know how many people PFF been wrong about, bro? They've been they've got
own analytics departments.
No, but we always fall back on PFF, right?
I mean, I'm just saying, like
PFF has Ted McMillan rated 4th overall.
Okay, look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay works with the analytics department, and they work with the analytics department in a unique way. So check this out. And the Baltimore Ravens. I'm talking about people who won championships. Slow down. So I'm talking about in the last 5-6 years. I'm talking about winners. So look, Tampa Bay works with the analytics department. They say, well, the analytics suggests there'll be an analytics guy like, let's say, Will Campbell, right? Is that his name? That's his name, right? I mean, the guy you just showed.
Wyatt Millam.
Wyatt Millam. Perfect example. because Will Campbell's a bad example because the analytics go against him, but the hype goes with him. You know what I'm saying? So Wyatt Millum, well, the analytics suggest he can't run block. He missed 17% of his run blocking. All right. And check this out. The scout, well, look, I got this on tape. This is what he missed. Whose responsibility is this? He'll show the 17 plays. And then that'll bring the analytic down, or that'll bring it up. Like, oh God, you actually caught it. See, they work with their analytics department, and that's how they got guys like Diaby, who had like 5-6 sacks, and was a guy that nobody thought he could play. Is he a linebacker? Is he a defensive end? Well, in their system, he both, and nobody thought he can play. And they work together. The Baltimore Ravens, check this out. This is how they use analytics. And I had to watch interviews for this, because I thought I was crazy. Because I be talking to, in Lions culture, we poverty, okay? We be talking about how we get money. Well, you get money like this. No, you get money by getting a job. No. We don't know anything because we ain't got no money. And the money is the championship. I went to the Baltimore Ravens, and Mike DeCosta had an hour interview with Todd McShay. Said, this is how we use analytics. If our scouts have a guy rated as in Saginaw Valley State, and they have a guy as a UDFA, we actually use an analytics, a GUI, if you will. We actually have we punch in the numbers, we punch in everything into a computer. You call it the supercomputer. So we go to the supercomputer and punch it in. I have 7 scouts that say this guy's a UDFA, and the supercomputer says this guy, based on this guy's numbers against this certain type of coverage or whatever, this guy's a actual draftable prospect. So when they're deadlocked, right, or 3 guys say this and 3 guys say that, they turn to the GUI and they say, oh, this guy's actually a draftable prospect. Because DeCosta, if DeCosta can't give the final say on the guy and he's torn too, they go to the computer and the computer decide. And the Lions have an analytics department that's helped them actually find faster players that are fast. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, yes, the 4.63, 4.67 is not good. But guess what? They had RFID chips in the jerseys, and he's been clocked to run over 20 miles an hour in a game. So if he was able to do that at USC, that's an equivalent of a 4.3. So we're going to bring him in. Plus, he has the production, the upside, the character, this, that, and the third. See, they don't go through this war of analytics versus film. They don't do that. People who win the game use everything. People who win use everything. We be going through this war because we trying to figure out how we get money. No, you get a job. No, you hustle. You get a job. You hustle. Why don't we do both? Why don't we have a 9 to 5 and work 5 to 9? Why don't we do both and we don't sacrifice sleep, and we gonna try to understand this the best way we know how? And that's how we got to rise up. We can't just go off PFF, and we can't go off tape, because there's plenty of quarterbacks that have great tape because they come from a great system. They didn't throw no interceptions. And all these pro style quarterbacks that come out that are bust. Pro style.
That also goes into, okay, what type of offense he played. And he put up a ton of yards, but was it a pro style offense? Was it an offense that was wide open? You look at, prime example, look at Ohio State. Every quarterback that goes there plays well. Is it the wide receivers? Is it the scheme? It's a ton of things. But when you talk about the numbers and you get to those numbers, this always go back to the analytics. You can have all the analytics you want, and still be completely wrong. And I'm with you on this. I think analytics definitely serve a purpose nowadays in the NFL, but nothing can replace football experience, football mind, and actually watching film. Right. That's the key to everything, is that you still want to watch film. Listening to, and I understand he don't know everything. Former players may not know everything. Even listening to Maurice Jones-Drew talk about TreVeyon Henderson. He talked about how he felt TreVeyon Henderson was the second best running back in the draft, mainly because he's almost just as explosive as Genty, not as athletically gifted overall, but he's way better in pass pro. Now, a lot of these things, you may not always see in analytics, but
They matter on game film.
They matter. Same thing. I'm more prone to trust a running back's opinion on a running back over what the computer tells me after they Google a bunch of numbers, even though he can still be wrong. Orlando Brown Jr., multi Pro Bowl left tackle. He could be dead wrong about Josh Simmons. He could be dead wrong about Membo. He could be dead wrong about Will Campbell.
Yeah.
What I like is listening to people who have no dog in the race.
Right.
I don't aim to discredit none of these prospects. I don't get anything out of trashing them.
Yeah.
I don't get anything out of that. I just want to make sure that guys get evaluated properly. And I like how when he brought down Will Campbell, he said, people have an issue with the arm length. I get it. It's damn near, it's very, very tough to pee. It's very, very difficult to play left tackle or right tackle in the NFL with arms that aren't at least 30, 40, 35 inches. Because if you can't keep these defensive ends and these edge rushes out of your chest, you're going to get pushed back all day and you're going to find yourself at guard some damn where.
Yeah. Interesting.
But for him but he still says that from what he's seen from Will Campbell, he said he's watched Will Campbell the past 4 years. And this is what goes back to what I was just saying. People watching football, analytics, PFF, stat tracking, none of that replaces football, because an all-pro can say this guy is the best tackle in the class, but PFF numbers say he's this and say he's that. Who are you more prone to believe?
Analytics have proven to be 5% better than scouts.
Man.
See,
I don't know, man. I mean, if you want to post all of this data, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just trying to keep it. I'm just saying.
This is my thing. No, you good. You good. See,
no, I'm just. I don't. My thing is, I'm still an old school football guy when it comes to this. I don't like the new everybody's included football movement. Everybody's a scout. Everybody's Googling numbers and they think the numbers tell them what to think about a player. Everybody's giving concrete evaluations on players they haven't watched. It's too much fake in the funk out here. And I think that people need to get back to actually watching damn film. That's if you, but the thing is this, if you don't know what the hell to watch, how can you watch film? That's like handing a gun to a monkey.
Right. Because
if you don't know, if you can't go through your mental checklist of what you should be looking for at linebacker, what you should be looking for at DN, what you should be looking for in a 3-4 nose tackle, how can you even give an evaluation? That's my thing. It's too much dishonest content out here. Everybody knows everything about every player. Everybody faking it today. Everybody giving these hardcore evaluations of these players they don't know a damn thing about. It's all about, watch what happens tonight. If they draft some random guy at 28 that nobody knows about, or everybody said, well, he was mocked to go late second. What they gonna do? They're gonna run the PFF. And PFF says he's this. They says he's that. Watch what happens.
But I'm gonna speak truth to power, because I think you and I have I think you think I have a fundamental difference with you. And
no, I don't have. I'm just talking about just in general.
Oh, just in general.
The whole numbers thing. It's given.
It's given. You one of them?
It's giving. No. This is what I'm saying.
I'm not picking up my wife's for
the whole fantasy football thing. The whole analytics is giving nerds, for lack of a better, it's giving non-athletic people who don't know shit about football. It's giving them the ability to be part of the conversation now. That's the whole thing. I was talking to a dude about football the other day, and the first thing he did, and this is what annoys me about sports fans in any sport.
Yeah.
If we talking about football and the first thing you do is run the stats, that's the very first thing you do, that's kind of a red flag for me.
Well, for me,
it is, but I just do think it's gotten real lazy.
No, here's what I do. And I'm not very strong in the trenches when I watch film. I'm not strong in the trenches. I know I'm not strong in the trenches. I'm not strong with blocking assignments. I'm not strong with
you gotta care to get better though.
Yeah, exactly. So
like I had to get better at evaluating the linebacker position.
Yeah. This off season, I'm taking and I've took the time to learn reach block, combo block. Now I'm good with acknowledging a play. This is a wham. This is a trap. This is a this, you know. And I'm not good with the finer details of, like, if you told me, oh, this is a power move and a finesse move. Okay, it's a move. Like hand slapping. That's what your boy did. Your boy Mikael Williams did a lot of hand slapping. Apparently that's a move. That's not a move to me. That to me, it's just a lot of hand slapping, and we don't know what it is. Tape should not be replaced. Tape and context to tape will never be replaced. No matter how the RFD chips and the biometric cameras, it should not be replaced, because I think you want the whole picture. I think the interviews are a better tell and better task for player evaluation than anything. When you look at interviews for like last year's draft, there were several teams that showed their interviews just like Detroit did, you know, and Detroit was talking about nonsense like, oh, you're a good team, locker room. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm trying to hear, okay, what are you doing on this play? All right, what's his job on this play? What's this? All right, what's this? What is this? And check this out. Tampa Bay did this with a linebacker, and Tampa Bay realized, like, this dude knows everybody's job. They did this. They drafted a safety too that knows everybody's job out of Georgia. So when they drafted this safety out of Georgia, he knew everybody's job, where everybody should be on the field, and he knew what the switch was if a receiver went in motion his way and a receiver went in motion away from him. He knew he could articulate what he was going to do, what the play was. He had that perfect recall, and that's what I'm starting to call it, is that perfect recall. When that football IQ comes in and the tape comes in, we know what to do on the tape and we know why we're doing it. That's a better example. So for me, I use analytics to highlight the players I'm going to target. If you're not at the top, if we're talking about Shamar Stewart as a great run defender, and I see his run rate is equivalent to Levi Onwuzurike, who I have no, all right, cool. All right. So what are you doing? I don't know. Why don't you know? All right, so you're the most athletic. Okay, you run a 4.38. What are you doing here? Well, we was just told to run at the quarterback, so that's what I did. I don't know I can't teach that. I can't work with that. So I use analytics to spotlight players that are at the top and echelon of what they do. And then we use the interviews, we use the tape to differentiate who's the better one. The underlining factor is the character, because everybody wants to say, what about his character? To me, when a football player is that knowledgeable about his craft and what everybody's doing, and his work ethic and his attention to detail on film, and he can articulate it, like Kobe Turner. Kobe Turner could articulate why he was doing a pass rush move versus why he was, doing a physical move. He could articulate and set guys up. That attention to detail and that way to vocalize those particular things, that tells me you're disciplined. And discipline is a part of character. Yes. And if you're disciplined, you have work ethic, because I've never met a person with work ethic and bad discipline. I'm just going to work hard. So football IQ and the film, of course, but I need to spotlight what I want to target. Like, I didn't know nothing about the dude from Toledo. I had no clue. Someone hit me up talking about, hey, what are you about the guy from Toledo? I don't know. Let's watch the tape. Oh, but guess what? He can articulate why he's going to shade over the nose. He can articulate what he's going to do. Well, we wanted to, you watch his interviews, we wanted to really expose this guy in the pass game. And, I was obviously bigger than him. He was coming in at 6'1", 6'2", and I was doing. So that's what we wanted to do. And then we always switched. So he was articulating the game plan of the coach and the thinking, because I'm sure he asked the question, why am I going to nose? Oh, well, you have an advantage over this guy, a size advantage, a speed advantage, and you can really get in between and get your sacks. And that's why I'm like, okay. And that's why I'm able to find a Kirby Joseph. That's why I'm able to find a Malcolm Rodriguez. That's why I'm able to find all these guys like a Tariq Woolen. That's why I'm able to find guys that are better and come in better. Like the only pick that I've made that's underperformed is Hendon Hooker, and he not even playing. So, I know a bunch of people clicked off like he's not Brad Holmes though, but I guess Brad Holmes draft the first year. I told Brad Holmes Malcolm Rodriguez was the best player, best linebacker. Speaking of linebacker,
I'm gonna say this, man.
Yeah,
It's just getting back to like, okay, so like with PFF, I would say this, and we bring up PFF because it's like the Bible publication for football fans now.
Yeah.
Fantasy football, college football, everything. This is what pretty much me included. I got a PFF subscription. This is what we go to.
Yes, sir.
It's about how do these guys, or how do you believe these guys are going to translate to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
You want to always pay attention to how these guys, source it all, how these guys were utilized in college. Was a guy's pass rush rate extremely low because he didn't get the opportunities? Were they constantly dropping him in coverage? I had this same argument with a lot of people about Myles Murphy from Clemson a few years ago. And I kept explaining, people talk, well, Myles Murphy doesn't have the pass. Well, he had the pass rush win rate, but the thing was Myles didn't have the hurries. Myles didn't have the high sack rate people wanted. So they assumed he couldn't do it. Now, Myles hasn't done a whole lot with Cincinnati since he's been in the league, but the deal was he doesn't have a high sack rate. He doesn't have a high pressure rate. He can't be that good of an edge rusher. People view the Georgia Bulldog edge rushers and defensive tackles, for that matter, the same way because they do a lot of things similar defensively to what Dabo Swinney likes to do with Clemson defensively. They don't allow their edge rushers and their defensive tackles to just pin their ears back and get to the quarterback. We want to zone blitz you. We want to fire zone blitz you. We're going to drop you into coverage. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff that does not help you get paid in the NFL draft. And then we're going to leave teams. Look at Trayvon Walker. You got Trayvon Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Mykel Williams for this year. Who was the other guy? Quay Walker. All of those guys were big-time super athletes. Same thing with Nakobe Dean. Even though he wasn't a big-time super athlete, but these were all overhyped guys that got to the NFL. They were big-time specimens. People thought they were going to just transition to edge rushers and pass rushers. It doesn't always happen that way. And then sometimes it goes back to how you were utilized in college. Is a guy not capable of getting after the quarterback because he just can't do it? Or was it because his defensive coordinator in college played him out of position? We talked about Will McDonald a few days ago. Why do you have a 6'2", 230-pound edge rusher playing 3-tech?
I got something for you.
No, but I'm just just one second. But I'm just saying, like, all of this goes back to you saying you have to make sure you utilize everything. You don't want to cut corners because stat tracking can allow you to easily cut corners. Because it's easier for me to tap in PFF and see what they say about a player than it is for me to sit here in front of this laptop. Man, you know how it goes. I'm gonna sit in front of this laptop with no volume and watch this boring and watch this damn film and doze off. That's all that happens unless I get coffee.
Yeah. If
I don't drink a cup of coffee while I'm watching film, my ass will doze off in a heartbeat.
That's the beautiful thing about what you said. The analytics on Tavon or Trey, whatever, whoever Trayvon Walker. The analytics, he had a pass rush win rate of 10%. He was drafted because he was a freak athlete. Analytics told me he was not a good player. He hasn't been a good player. Aiden Hutchinson's pass rush win rate was 27%, 26.9. So Aiden Hutchinson.
What do we call a good player, though? No, I'm asking this because
all those players.
Because
with the exception of Nolan Smith,
doesn't he have back-to-back 10-sack seasons?
Who?
And Trayvon Walker, and they also don't let him just rush the passer the way he does, the way Aiden does. No, I keep going back to context. One dude came in as a rookie. I'm not sure if they still play him at 3-4 outside linebacker. They were playing him at 3-4 outside linebacker when he first got there in Jacksonville. Now, the thing is, has he lived up to number 1 overall pick? No, he hasn't.
10 sacks.
But to say he's a bust, not to say that you calling him a bust, but I've heard plenty of people call him a bust. And that's like, it's for a guy that's pretty much put in a situation where they want you, same thing with Georgia. Stop the run first, run contain, watch the C gap, rush the passer every now and then. Josh Allen gets the opportunity to do most of the pass rushing over there in Jacksonville. So this, like I said, this all goes back to not seeing one number and running with it, but actually seeing that number and putting all the context together. I just
You know
would think
what?
that
You
I would just think that it would naturally come to people that players play in different schemes, players have different sets of responsibilities. So when you start comparing numbers, this ain't like comparing LeBron James numbers to Carmelo Anthony's. Like you talking about football, guys play in different positions, guys play in different schemes. There's way too much context to just be same thing people do with sacks. Well, this guy's better because he's got more sacks. So he's a better player because he's got more sacks. Well, due to context behind it, that doesn't always make him the better player. That's the whole point I keep trying to make is that there needs to be common ground and balance to it. But right now, there's not really balance because the easiest thing for everybody to do is pick up their cell phone and Google some shit. Why go to a library? I got a library right here in my hand.
What you're talking about is similar to the de-intellectualization of America. What you're talking about is the need of convenience versus the actual work that you had through inconvenience. And I think that's a broader subject. But I think there's something that should be said. Trayvon Walker's pass rush win rate was 10% in college, 10%. And then he went to Jacksonville and he's had 10 plus sacks in 2 years. And that's a surprise to me because I thought he only had 8 sacks this year. He has 10.5, and he had 10.5 his rookie year, or whatever, the back-to-back years.
But that's called a bust.
No, it's only called a bust because when you're drafting at pick number 1, you're looking truly for a difference maker. And those sacks, especially when we're talking about the number 1 pass rusher, we're comparing him to the number 1 pass rushers of old, like Myles Garrett. If they're still losing, they feel like they can get 10 sacks without him. They feel like he's not contributing. Even if he has 10 sacks, they feel like Aiden Hutchinson, they're winning. You know, it's a visible difference that you can see. And it's probably a lazy take, but you know, still, that's really speaks
to Jacksonville. No, that's like, it ain't just that's them two different organizations right now.
They don't, Andre Cisco hasn't been healthy. They pride themselves on turnovers, but they get exposed.
Trevor Lawrence isn't,
Trevor Lawrence is a victim of bad coaching. Again, first rookie year, bad coaching, and then y'all bring in Doug Peterson. Y'all don't want Doug Peterson to do what he wants to do, and it's a mix of the front office doing one thing and the coaches wanting to do another. And now we have a new coach in there that is somewhat of a quarterback guru, and now you have a situation where that quarterback, when he's healthy, because he's still in the arm sling for his non-throwing arm, when healthy, they're going to have a quarterback-friendly system. This has been shown with Baker Mayfield, that same quarterback coach that they hired, or the same offensive coordinator they hired, Cohen. He was at LA as a quarterback's coach. He helped Baker Mayfield when Stafford was injured. And then he became an offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. He put in an offense that was some suspect, but it really made Baker shine, especially from weeks 1 through 4. Baker was like the top-rated QB for weeks 1 through 4. And didn't throw an interception. He threw 4 touchdowns in the first game. And so now you have somewhat of a quarterback guru in Cohen, who's using the same McVay-style systems. I don't know why people don't want to use that, but he goes to Jacksonville, and I think he can help Lawrence. I think he can help Lawrence win when healthy. But Lawrence is not going to be healthy for a certain period of time, so I don't know how they're going to transition or how they're going to move forward. But
it'll be interesting to see, though.
I trust Gladstone, and I trust anybody that comes from LA, because LA is another analytic factory. LA cares about smart football players.
Lawrence, because ultimately Trevor has to be the one to go out there on the field and execute the offense.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I need him to execute an offense that's quarterback friendly. I don't need him to execute an offense from the pass. I don't need him to execute too many RPOs and too many of this. I need him to be a Jared Goff, and you can win with a Jared Goff. And I think that Sam Darnold, Purdy, Jared Goff, Geno Smith are all in the same bucket of quarterbacks. They need things, and they need things because they need to reach their potential to be elite. And since they need things, you need to acquire things. You need to have a dominant offensive coordinator. You need to have a coach that's behind him, a general manager that's behind him. I don't feel like everybody is going to be a Josh Allen, a Burrow, a Lamar. Not everybody's that. Not everybody's going to be elite and three MVPs. Not everybody's going to be that. And teams were looking for that for so long. But now you have Trevor Lawrence with the right front office, with the right quarterback coach / offensive coordinator, putting in the right system that is going to use motions and shifts. Last year, they were mostly in the shotgun running 4 receiver sets. They're not built to do that. They need to be running the ball, controlling the clock, and doing the right thing, which is actually running the ball. So that's why ETN might get traded today. And I'm giving you real content because I watch everybody. I do not talk about Detroit sports with Detroit people all the time, but I watch everybody. And I guarantee you, Jacksonville might put up better numbers this year because they have the quarterback, they have the running game. If they get a running back this year, they have the running game, quarterback, and they have the front office that's going to be behind their quarterback. So that's all I got to say towards that. And it's funny is like I like talking to like content like this because the Lions content gets so stale because we be talking about this. How are you going to pay Branch? How are you going to? It's so. Bro, it's just so like we got a fortune right now. We sitting on a fortune. Green Bay can't beat us. Minnesota don't know who they are with their quarterback. If winning the division is the floor, okay.
Chicago might be showing up.
Chicago's gonna be a good team. They're gonna beat us one time, but I'm not worried about Chicago long term. Why you mention Chicago? Why you mention them?
They in the division.
No. I'm just saying.
No, because they in the division. I mean, I think they have a chance to be better than Green Bay.
You know why you mentioned them?
Better because they play in the division.
No. You mentioned them because Lions fans scared of Chicago, and they scared of Caleb, and they scared of Johnson. I'm not scared.
They may be. They may be.
He a normal dude to me.
I'm saying
he's never been nothing to me, bro.
I get being confident. Like a lot of Lions fans are confident we just gonna win the division next year. We're gonna sweep the division again and this and that. You have to remember last offseason, I think you talked about it, I talked about it, Ashanti, we talked about it, how quiet our offseason was last year. The Eagles got all this shit going on. The Giants got crazy stuff going on. The Dallas Cowboys ain't paying nobody. We talking about how every team in the NFC has shit going on except for us. We was quiet. Everybody was paid. Everything was calm. This offseason is exactly the opposite. You missing what, 2 coordinators? You talking about starting over with 2 new coordinators, probably breaking in a brand new offense. Your defensive player of the year candidate won't be ready for the start. Your second or third or fourth best defensive player, however you view him, Aleem McNeil, won't be available for the first 2 months of the season. This team has a lot of questions. So I just don't get how, and I get it, when you're a fan of your team is tribal. So it's screw Green Bay, screw the Bears, screw the Vikings. We're gonna win 15 games again next year. Like, we got a lot going on. We got to play that first place schedule too next season. So I just think that as calm as it was last offseason, it's just as noisy this offseason. Bad stuff, no.
Yeah, this is what needs to happen. You have a glaring weakness. I could play quarterback for Washington and beat you. And you have your third secondary rebuild that you've gone into. Your third. So you have all new faces again. Give those guys, Rock Ya-Sin, Dorsey, DJ Reed, give them something to make that true pass set actually formidable. Okay, because on 3rd and 19 and 3rd and 12, you were decent. You were great. You were top 5 on 3rd down, top 5. So give them something to be elite with. If you can stop running quarterbacks, if you can stop, if you can get sacks on the quarterback, like it's very clear. Like it's so clear, so evident that your front 7 is the weakness. And I'm not saying nothing about the linebackers, truly, because the linebackers, like Chris Spillman, has definitely scouted linebackers. So that's why I appreciate it. I trust him to draft a good linebacker. I trust them completely. I trust them to do that.
You do? Historically, how many did they draft, though?
How many did they draft? What, 3?
You talking about this organization?
I'm talking about the people in the building now. This regime. You trying to bring up some other stuff. You trying to bring up Ernie Sams and all them relics.
No, I'm not trying to bring, because
I trust.
Just asking, man. Just asking.
Look, you had a rotation at linebacker. You got elite play out of all of them, even Anzalone. So I like what I see. I like Anzalone in man and zone. I like Campbell in zone. I like what's his name? He's worked on his zone coverage completely. Malcolm Rodriguez before he got hurt, and then I like Barnes a lot. Run defending Barnes, he's a great 2-down backer, and you've worked tremendously well at that. But that mobile quarterback stuff is hurting you so bad, and you have no pass rush to show for it. So guys are getting 10 seconds and 5 seconds to throw. Darnold is running for 30 yards on you. This is not good. Purdy is trucking your linebackers, your backup linebackers in San Francisco.
This also goes back to context, though. Also goes right back to context. You love making these broad. You make these broad statements. I'm making these broad statements, dude. Let me ask you this:
don't leave here with an edge rusher. You're gonna lose 7 games.
Leave here with every fan base thinks it's just them. How many? For one, it's not a whole lot. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen do get a decent amount of direct runs within their offenses. Watching Buffalo play a lot the past 5 years, watching the Ravens play a lot the last 5 years, looking at Josh Allen's career rushing yards, looking at Lamar Jackson's career rushing yards, who are stopping them? Now, I'm not saying that these guys go out and just. First of all, we don't even play running quarterbacks that often.
Okay,
I think the whole running quarterback thing has been like a running theme with this fan base, and we've just been going with it. How many running quarterbacks do we play anyway? And how often do they just run for 200 yards on us? Newsflash: Josh Allen. Well, listen, the thing is this: if you have a quarterback that can move, any quarterback that has at least adequate mobility-wise can pick up 10 yards with a leg. So the idea of it's 3rd and 10, make sure this quarterback doesn't get the first down, unless you got a quarterback that's just a complete statue back there. 90% of quarterbacks in the NFL right now can pick up 10 yards with their legs on 3rd down.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. If, like I said, all you gotta do, if you look at these dudes' career rushing yards, look at Josh Allen week to week. Look at Lamar Jackson week to week. When Lamar Jackson did what he did to us 2 years ago, people act like that was the first damn time they seen that. No. These guys are hammers. They dynamic quarterbacks. They do this to everybody. But the whole running quarterback dynamic thing is just been running with this fan base for the past few years. I don't remember the last quarterback that just ran for 100 yards on us. Now, if you just want a situation where every quarterback, Lamar Jackson, 7 carries for -8 yards, like that doesn't happen.
Okay.
He's too good of a player to expect that to happen. But this whole running thing with the mobile quarterback thing, and I just go through our schedule, like, where are all these mobile quarterbacks these fans keep bitching about? We can't stop the mobile. We can't stop. Who? Was it mobility from Jayden Daniels that killed us? Or was it the quick passing game? Was it the zone read? Like this all once again, I'm gonna give me a podcast entitled The Context. This is the stuff that the lazy people don't want to do. So I'm gonna go through this. Like I just said, looking at that team right there, What were they genuinely supposed to do in that situation? Everybody just assumed Jayden Daniels, he's a running quarterback. He's gonna kill us. He didn't do it. They thought he was gonna do it with his legs. He did it with his brain, actually. He's the one that looked like the veteran out there. And it wasn't him, it was Eckler. It was Brian Robinson. It was the offensive line. And going to your point, it was their offensive line destroying our defensive line that was down to the third and fourth string players. But that's also the depth that everybody loves.
Yeah, that's the depth that everybody loves. And sign them back.
Yeah.
The same guys they cast away.
Yeah, so it's I don't know, man.
You're not gonna stop. You're not gonna stop Lamar Jackson on a regular basis, and you're not gonna stop Josh Allen on a regular basis. But when I go out there and I see Purdy run for 34 yards on you, and I see 68 yards by Josh Allen, and I see not too long ago, 2 years ago, I seen Love run for 60 yards in one play on you. It starts to become a problem because when I look at you in a pass rush situation, you're not getting there. And the two guys that were getting there, one is not on the team. He plays for Cleveland, and the other one's got half a leg. So it's starting to look. All I can say is causation and patterns. And the pattern is you haven't drafted a defensive line well enough to compete with big dogs. And if you want to compete with Jalen Hurts and the boys, you better get big dogs. You cannot rely on your video game offense. Matter of fact, hold on. I'm not going to call it a video game. Here's what I'm going to call it. Your second leading offense that historically almost broke 600 points. Historic offense. Second in the NFL ever. If you're just depending on that and you're not depending on equipping that offense with a complementary defense that's going to be not subject to the big play because they gave up 60 explosive plays from the slot, because what your corners told me, you set on that, okay? You gave up 60 explosive plays from the slot position, your slot corner. Who was that? Oh, it was Amik Robertson, your guy. You're the forgotten man and all these narratives. He had one good game, and y'all called him a hero. And then you got these one-year deals for all these guys that nobody ever heard of, and now they're geniuses and tricking the league. Look, if you're not committed to revamping this corner operation, you need to be committed to at least putting defensive linemen that are capable, that are cunning, that are able to hunt. If Broderick Martin dropped off,
even before Brad and them got here, historically, they've never done that.
They better do it because their last coach, a couple cycles ago, we had a guy named Jim Schwartz who was also called Jim Shorts, and he made sure that he had a defensive line no matter what game they played, and they got a sack every game in one season. Every game, it was a guaranteed sack. And even their bust players that were not bust but just got hurt or whatever, like Ezekiel Ansah, his first play was a sack touchdown. So if you don't have Ezekiel Ansah and you don't have Sue and you don't have Fairley and Willie Young and you don't have – see, I'm naming the boys, man, because if that defensive line was on this team, we would be in the Super Bowl right now. But since we're not, we can't time travel and bring guys back. You know, it is what it is. So it is what it is. You have an elite quarterback. You have an elite running back tandem. You have an elite tight end, top 3. You have an elite wide receiver, highest paid. You have everything on offense. So to sit here and add to the offense that is already a crown jewel, to me, would be lazy. After you put out nobodies. Rock Ya-Sin. I know there's a podcast out there called Rocked on Lions. I thought they signed Rocked on Lions, bro. I really did. I don't know what it is, bro. I don't know. They got the tryhards in the building. I don't know. I don't know.
All I see is sin.
All I see is sin.
No, I mean, listen. I get you 1,000%. Me and you watched every single game last season. We all watched every single game. Watching that pass rush was pathetic. It was disappointing. It was amazing that AG was able to drum up what he was able to drum up and get them wins and get that defense to play better, at least above their heads. Because that's what happened. But we're gonna be 100% honest about it. Down the stretch, we did play some offenses that couldn't really, move the ball as well. But next season, you got what? Burrow and Jamar Chase and Higgins and them boys, and
Y'all better start backing up. Y'all better start playing cover four.
back up.
Y'all better
No,
start.
man.
I'm in my bed.
I've been crying. Why is this man backpedaling before the snap?
I'm gonna surrender the 10-yard out before I surrender down deep downfield.
must be that new cover 19. Why is he 20 yards off the line? No, man, I get it, man. Like I said, I wanted to. In theory, if you ask me what I want at 28, it would be pass rush. Whether it was, and we talked about this, whether it was what we think Brad Holmes and them actually value more. Is it the interior pass rush or is it the edge pass rush? I would prefer, I don't care. Honestly, whether it's the best interior pass rushing D tackle that can play 3 tech and some 4 and some 2, or is an edge rusher. We definitely need, we definitely pass rush help right now more than we need tackle or more than we need guard. My just thing is that we don't know how this draft gonna fall tonight. Like, let me ask you this, for example. What if it hits 21, 22, 23, 24? These guys are going. We sitting there like, damn, man, Brad, you ain't gonna move up and get nobody. They going like this, going like that. You stay there at 28 and just take the best available edge rusher? Or are you still like considering moving out of 28? If you can move out, you only gonna be able to move out of 28 if there's a quarterback that's available. If that somebody probably wants to trade back in and get.
It's funny because I value interior pressure, and A-gap pressure is something the Lions don't get unless they send the blitz, and that failed in the playoff game because everybody picked up on that. I do tape don't lies weekly. And if I can figure out the offense and I'm an IT guy, that's a problem, or the defense, and that's a problem. Okay, I shouldn't be figuring out what you're gonna do with Elijah Muhammad. I shouldn't be able to figure that out.
Elijah Muhammad
or whatever.
Or Al Qadim.
Al Qadim. I don't know.
Brother Elijah.
I don't know. I don't know what his name is, man.
Really Brother Elijah.
Number 69. Anyway. You need A-gap pressure. A-gap pressure is the quickest way to get to the quarterback as opposed to getting to the edges. You can get edge rush throughout this whole draft. You can get the edge rush throughout this whole process. If you get a piece like the guy from Toledo, if you get a piece like Jamar Caldwell in this draft, if you get a person who can pressure the center and overpower the center and be in that quarterback's face and break pocket structure, you can actually have a chance for your edge rushers to do something. If you value edge rusher that much, you would have got it 10 times over.
You would have traded up for Will Anderson when you had the opportunity, but got too rich for your blood. Laid off for Will.
And you could have drafted a corner that takes away half the field, but you didn't. He wasn't one of your guys. What I don't want to do, don't want to do is I don't want to hear about these misfit toys. And I think I'm going to be in the minority because I already know Woolworth Sports campaign, no matter who they draft, Woolworth Sports is going to value those people. Okay. They're going to value those people. They're going to drink the Kool-Aid and all this other stuff. I don't want to do too many hand movements, but Woolworth Sports is going to overpower the analytics and the tape knowledge. And then you're going to have people who do the tape don't lies. Now they're doing tape don't lies. So you're going to have people say, he's one of our guys. Like, I got to compete with guys with 100,000 subscribers talking about 32 different NFL teams and saying, hey, look, this guy for the Lions is going to be great. Is he? He only had 24 pressures, or he only had 1 sack in college. How is he going to be great? But as long as people are cashing their checks on views and happiness, nobody cares.
Well, so I think that's a big reason why they probably leaning toward, not to say leaning towards, but I think why a lot of people within the organization probably value Shamar Stewart. Because if you think about, if we just get past the pass rush for 1 second, how bad was our run defense the past 6 games of the season? Also, it got pretty bad. And then it got real ugly against Washington. So you could also make the argument D tackle might be more important.
Yeah.
Aleem not going to be, of course, you want a D tackle that can gives you some versatility. Not only can he get after the quarterback pretty good, but he can also stop the run because that's your number one job as a defensive tackle. Right now, DJ Reader is your number one defensive tackle.
Yeah. And you know what's funny?
Who's next to him?
DJ Reader is on a 1-year contract. So replacing finding a DJ Reader body type or a DJ Reader type, like a TJ Sanders or somebody like that can actually give you something on the pass rush end, or a Stackhouse and give you something. Like, just get something, okay? I'll do the film breakdown. I'll tell the story or whatever. Just get something, okay? Matter of fact, if you want to trot out Shamar Stewart and everything, and I'm sure he does great photo ops and while he's running his 4.6, and you know, I'm sure he does that. But I need production, because you can't give these fans too many excuses to get you fired, okay? You can't give them. Look, you trade up and you get Abdul Carter, I'll praise God. But
that lets me know you serious.
Yeah, look, that lets me know you serious. Exactly.
Now, can Carter turn out to be a bust? It's possible, but if he turned out to be a bust 2 years from now, I can't turn around and hate the pick. If he turned out to be a bust, all I can say 2 years later is he turned out to not be good, but Abdul Carter was the number one overall prospect on a lot of people's boards. We traded him to get him, and he didn't work out. But you're right. Being aggressive to go get a Carter, that lets me know, oh, you recognize what the problem is, and you trying to make a legitimate dent in it by adding the best pass rusher or second or third best pass rusher in the class, or even Pierce for that matter.
Yeah.
If you view Pierce as that guy, you know.
I seen them in Chicago. I seen them get 5 pressures, 1 sack on Caleb Williams. And that's when bringing the blitz. And they had 5 people at the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's getting pathetic. If Aiden Hutchinson ain't the same, and you have to put him inside to create some chaos and put Shamar Stewart on an island against a tackle, I know that right side is going to collapse. I know it's going to collapse. Okay? Yeah. So that left side needs, or the left side and the middle need to have some continuity, something. I mean, I should be able to see on analytic charts that Pascal is the worst pass rusher in the NFL. I shouldn't be able to see that on analytics.
Yeah, I think that's also what he really was though.
He was the worst pass rusher.
When he was at Kentucky. Yeah, when he was at Kentucky, he was a versatile, tough guy who could play some 3-tech. He was quick enough, lateral quickness and short area quickness wise to step inside and play a little bit of 2 every now and then. Another tweener. He's too something, or he's too little of something to play every position consistently. That's what he was, and that's pretty much what he's been since he's been in the league. But to piggyback off what you were just saying about Hutchinson, people so sold that he's Superman. He's just gonna step right back in and get 17 sacks next season. You got to calm down on this. Like that, and Mia Shanti talked about this last night. There's a chance that we may not see the best of him until 2026.
And check this out. In the 7th round, you could draft, I think Hutchmaker is his name, out of Indiana. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hutchmaker. He's a former wrestler. He has pass rush moves inside. He has 5 sacks inside. He's 6'6". If you come out here with a Ezekiel Isaka, some dude from fucking, I'm sorry. If you come out of here with a dude from New Zealand that can't play, just a business decision. I'm gonna call it business decisions. I'm gonna call it culture decisions. I'm gonna call it business decision, because when I see a Zeke or whatever from the IPP program, and he doesn't even know what a pass rush move is, and they just saying, "Well, you look like a pass rusher," and they spend 10, 20 minutes with this guy,
and they send him to pass rush camp.
No, bro. You better come out of here with you could come out of here with Ty Robinson, and he could give you 6 sacks from the interior. You better come out here. This is a draft. The strength of the draft is the trenches. We've said this for 4 months, 6 months. If you do not come out of here with a guy, a Josiah, a Pierce, something, you have failed. There's no way there's 20 pass rushers with 20% win rate. There's no way, no possible way you can mess this up. It's impossible, bro. You would have to be a person. You would have to be stupid. You would have to literally have a bunch of researchers in the office that are playing ping pong every day. And, we're just going to bet on Project. Yeah, Project Martin. We're going to bet on him.
That's what I was just talking about. You can't sell me on not drafting a defensive tackle because we're betting on Broderick. We hold up, and this is their favorite phrase. He's been working his ass off all off season, and we expect big things from him. You cannot pass on Darius Alexander because you're rolling the dice on Broderick in year 19
That's what they
of
did.
his development.
Look. Braden Fisk. I had
Yeah.
Bill Carroll on my channel. Bill Carroll labeled Braden Fisk as the 25th best player. Okay. The Rams got Braden Fisk and he had 6 sacks. I'm tired, bro. No, I think he had 8. I'm tired, bro. He had 4 in the season.
I get it.
I'm tired,
I get it.
bro.
I sat there. I told you. Remember, I texted you. I was watching that Florida State LSU game, and I'm like, aside from Jared Verse, this Braden Fisk is really out there kicking ass. And then I fast forward to the fourth quarter because I want to see if you're still kicking ass in the fourth quarter, or are you just getting manhandled and tossed around because you gassed out, your legs is dead, and your arms is beat up. He was still kicking ass in the fourth, and I'm like,
Noah
how
Ellis
do people
had 5
not see
sacks.
this? Right.
Noah
And I'm
Ellis.
like, so how do
Noah
people not
Ellis was
see
having
this?
sex with one arm. Noah Ellis was having sex with one arm.
I watched multiple games from Fisk, and then watched Fisk show up at the NFL Combine, be the best performing interior defensive lineman at the Combine, and still hear people say, yeah, well, I don't like his arm length. I don't like his body type. I remember Chris Sims had him rated as like his 6th or 7th defensive tackle. And this is why I be talking about with people having these concrete assumptions about these players. Dude set up and said, there's no way Braden Fisk will ever play on the inside. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. He's not this. He's not that. What the hell did they do win with the Rams? Now, granted, he walked into a perfect situation for him because he was surrounded by pass rushers with the Rams. But I just look at it like, and Bill Carroll was right. It makes me feel good to see I was right. You was right. Bill Carroll was right. And a lot of people in the NFL were just wrong about it.
I'm stupid, man. I'm stupid, bro.
Well, we talked about it too. I think part of it, the white defensive tackle is like the white running back.
I don't care about that.
No, I don't care.
No,
I don't care. You don't care. But there's still these goofy ass people out here who, I wouldn't. They still have these assumptions and these hangups with players in certain positions. Like it's like the black quarterback. Some people just have those hangups in certain positions, but there was no way you could look at Braden Fisk film last year and then watch him show up at the Combine, and that power and that explosiveness showed up in all of his workouts, and you walk away from it saying, I'm okay.
I will say Braden Fisk was weak at the run, and the Lions covered the run. But because we manhandled them, we bludgeoned them in LA. But Braden Fisk was he would have been a great rotational. He would have helped you alleviate.
I think they need more defensive tackle help. That's why they were, we've seen mock drafts with them taking possibly Kenneth Grant because they do need a big nose, not necessarily a nose, but a space eater in the middle.
Yeah, and they need something for sure to elicit that A gap pressure and to really take the heat off Aleem, because now Aleem is getting double covered, and now he's showing up
healthy on his own.
I mean, he's showing up on scouting reports regardless if he's healthy or not. So he's averaging 3 sacks a season. I'm just saying he's been productive despite being out 3 games. So I complain about 3 games. He out on average. Like, I don't know why we complain about 3 games, and you got all these other people who don't show up at all, be on the field for 600 snaps. Levi Onwuzurike, Pascal, they be on the field healthy. They be drinking water. I'm like, why does Pascal need water? Why does he need water?
Say my man can't even get water.
Look, I'm just saying, man.
Drink this coffee, motherfucker.
Yeah, drink the coffee and make you feel better.
Drink this warm beer from yesterday.
I watch a dude on YouTube. He said, drink the coffee and make you feel better. He'll give you a dose of reality. Drink the coffee and make you feel better. It's like the coffee pod. Because he talk about women and men and politics. Drink the coffee.
Drink the coffee. Drink the coffee. Man, we've been on this for 2.5 hours, bro. 2 hours and 34 minutes.
Yeah. And we probably been talking for 3.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if Ashanti gonna join me tonight. He said he was gonna join me later on tonight. I
You
may
live
come
streaming the
back prior to
draft?
the draft.
Oh,
Huh?
prior. Okay, you coming back
No,
prior?
after. No,
After.
no, because it's already 6:30. Draft started what 8:20, something like that. But I don't know if you can be back.
I
I'm
can
gonna
be
be
back
back. You can definitely jump back with me if you want to hop on
if it's a bad pick. I'm
with
gonna
the
be
Lions
back for
pick.
sure. You know what? I think they picking tomorrow too. I think they picking tomorrow, so I'll be back tomorrow. I be look. This how crazy it is. If they pick a bad pick, I will run to the laptop. If they pick a good pick, I will run to the laptop. If they trade back and have me wait, I will run to the laptop again. Okay. If it's the spirit of Detroit, if the spirit is in me, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna say this to wrap this up before we get out of here for Lions fans. Know your GM. Know what he likes to do in the first round. Know what directions he likes to go in. I don't think he's gonna be a receiver in the first round. We heard Matthew Golden rumors or whatnot. I do believe that this man believes in difference makers in the first round. Now, whether that difference maker, Penei Sewell was considered a difference maker. They took him. They may view Tyler Booker as a difference maker. I believe he is at guard. I think he's going to be a really good pro. Gray Zabel's going to be a really good pro. But expect the unexpected. I expect anything that could possibly, I think anything could possibly happen. Other than quarterback. I think quarterback and running back are the two spots in the first round that they won't touch.
Get some popcorn. I'm gonna actually get some popcorn.
I got my Kroger brand popcorn upstairs.
Oh, I use AMC.
You don't catch me with that.
I use Act.
It was me. This ritzy mother. This ritzy. I got Act 2 popcorn.
Act 2. You know.
Oh, movie theater butter popcorn.
Yeah. I don't get nothing if it ain't got no name on it. I'm sorry, man. I don't know.
It got private selection on it.
No.
This man don't drink. This man drink Perrier water.
No, I will drink Aquafina. You right. I don't touch nothing else. I don't touch nothing else. You got me right. I care about brands with food, not with clothes.
He drink that Coca-Cola flavored water.
Right. Exactly, man. Look, Coca-Cola. Look, Coca-Cola come out with a seltzer. Well, Pepsi. I'm a Pepsi guy. Pepsi come out with a seltzer drink, I'll probably drink. Yeah, I drink Pepsi only. If you see me with a Coca-Cola, it's a bad day. You see me with a Coca-Cola, it's the only thing I can have. It's the only thing that was in reach, proximity. But I'm a Pepsi guy. I know you older, so you probably drink, I don't know, Canada Dry, or something like that.
I'm very partial to ginger ale. Yes. I love a good ginger ale.
Keeps you regular.
No, that's the Raisin brand, brother.
Wow, Raisin. Oh wow, get out of here, man. Get out of here. He's Raisin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I it's funny because my wife told me you too old to be eating cereal, and that's what she told me. And you know, Raisin. My cereal gotta grow up. I'm eating Reese's. I'm eating Reese's cereal. I'm eating Fruit Loops. I'm eating all the good cereal. My cereal got it. I'm gonna get like you, bro. Raisin brand. Man. I'm gonna try it. I'm
gonna hurry up and get out of here because these dogs upstairs clowning. But great having you on, man, for 2.5 hours. I think we gave people some really in-depth content.
Yeah,
we didn't get a chance to go through all the players. We're gonna have a stock full day the next couple of days, though. Well, maybe not necessarily tomorrow night. Saturday for sure. We're gonna have plenty of content early Saturday. Sure, yeah, we'll be able to go through a whole lot of players. We have a lot of material to go over. Hopefully, unless they just keep trading back and end up with nine third-round picks or something like that. But
yep,
exactly. So for sure, I'm gonna be back. Roughly around, I guess, 11:30 when we should expect the Detroit Lions pick to come in. Whenever the Detroit Lions pick come in, I'm gonna be there. Ashanti should be there with me. If not, you'll be there with me. If not, I'll be there by myself. But we'll have that pick covered.
Yep, I'm be on the Syndicate channel and be live streaming there. And that's it, man. That's it. I don't know how else to say it.
For sure. All right, man. Got anything else you want to say before we get out of here and lead these people to tonight?
Exactly. I do have something to say. One pride, go Lions.
One pride, go Lions.